welcome here. Please feel free to, bring forth your message.
Well, greetings to everyone. Thanks for the invite. And just a quick correction, just because we're on a platform created not by us but by other entities, I will not be sir. Right? If anybody had to address me at any point in time, I would be chief, and that is fine. And yes, it's a great experience to be here now, to see that so much people right now talking things that we were considered madmen for speaking, and it's good to have the opportunity to shed some light on a couple of things. We're not here to convert anybody. We're not here to create any debate or anything like that. All I would be simply doing is presenting records, things that you could find, and I would be welcoming a whole barrage of questions. That's something we love to do. So, without any further ado, anybody have any questions to start with? Or I think somebody was asking more questions when I was trying to get in. If you all want to go back to there, or if you all want to start somewhere else, feel free.
Hello. You're welcome, Chief. We are proud and honored to be with you here. We hope we learn from you a lot. So my question is, do you understand the law of as above, so below?
As above, so below. Yes, it's a law amongst 9 principles that govern this sector of the multiverse or the universe, however you want to put it. The feminine sector, sector 24, yes. The law of above, so below, yes. It's now a matter of belief. So, as we're going further, right? Anybody on the panel here is bilingual, fluently bilingual in any other language?
I beg your pardon?
As we go forward, just for clarification, is anybody on the panel here bilingual or speak any other language fluently?
What I can say, Chief, Brother Men, has a Ugandan dialect, so he is bilingual.
Right.
I know Sister Aria, while I don't know her level, she is really good in Spanish.
All right, beautiful. So for the purpose of the majority of those who understand the language that we speak in, what I'd like to do just for information transferring purpose, I'd like to stick to the meaning of words governed by the governors of the language, i.e. their dictionaries. So for instance, if we speak in Spanish, I'd like to stay within the Spanish meaning of a word directly, or the etymology of the word. And if we speak in English, I'd like to stay on that level at the same time. So that just to address what I'm going to say now. In terms of belief, when you're saying belief, indigenous people, tribal people, we don't deal with belief, period. Belief, according to the English dictionary, means to accept things without proof, especially without proofs. That is in 1999 edition, Oxford. They say that the meaning of the word belief is to accept things, especially without proof. The etymology of that word is belie, the word right on top of it, and it means to corrupt and distort. So indigenous people, tribal people don't deal with belief, period. We are more...
Please forgive me, Chief. I'm very sorry.
Apology accepted. It's not schooling or anything like that. It's just for clarification purposes, so we could confer information clearly.
My limited Afrocentric knowledge teaches me that a chief is one of honor, so I have to know how I'm talking and have respect. So I'm trying to show,
All right.
As much as I've been brainwashed to try that, to show that honor and respect. So Honorable Chief, someone and why I have to ask this question is because I see that you are dynamite and full of knowledge. So somebody in the chat named First Eye asked a question, and I think it's appropriate even before you present, so that we have an understanding of who is talking to us. So if it is acceptable in your culture for me to ask you, my chief, what clan are you from? What tribe? you know, and you made it clear that you would be called chief, but if you're not uncomfortable, could you give us a name, or will we just have to refrain only to chief? And why I asked is because we have some avid, very deeply invested Afrocentrists in the chat and probably in the box, and so they want to know who they're talking to. As we know, Credo, we just want to know. We know Ben Yokanan, so we want to know our fathers, and we want to know our elders and who we're speaking to and where this knowledge is coming from.
All right, so in our culture, it is acceptable to ask, and I am so obliged to answer. So I am Chief Nanya Min Waab Kairiel. I am of the Aruakai and the Galibi peoples. Those are the original peoples who walk this land, Kairi, its original name, and Alubera, and the number of China Islands between here and Chimaka. I am bloodline linked to those people. Chimaka is what we originally called Jamaica. Kairi is the original name for this island. Alubera is the original name for what they call in Tobago. Right? I am the first chief since the last war chief, Chief Bakumar and Manumar, from the wars between the Capuchin monks, the Conversos, and the Moriscos. As it is tradition, in a war, the chief that wins the war becomes the head chief. In this case, on this island, since the last war was fought here in 1699, the last recorded war, right, I would be hailing from that war, which is 326 years to now. So what war did I win? I would be the chief that won the paper genocide. Anybody familiar with the paper genocide? The paper genocide is what we refer to as the identity theft for the American Neji misnomered and called African descendants. We are the original American Neji, copper tone, woolly head, walking here from since before here was here. Right, so that's where I hailing from. My people are commonly called the Caribbean Arawaks. The correct name for them is the Galibi and the Aruakai, or they call them Lokono sometimes, but that's a later name for them. I am hailing, my ancestry comes from in where the last battle was fought, where they call Sangre Grande in Kairi. Sangre Grande in Spanish, for the Spanish speakers, would mean big blood. That was referring to the amount of blood that was shed in the battle of San Francisco de los Arenales. That's the Battle of Arena that gave Sangre Grande and Sangre Chiquito its name. So my grandmother, as we hail from the matriarchal line, because it's basically more of a balanced thing with the feminine principle at the helm. So we hail from the matriarchal line, and my grandmother is from those people. She was born and bred up here in Sangre Grande, and her parents and her parents before them and they before them, they were all involved in that war, in the Battle of 1699, as many other people on this island who consider themselves of African descent are the bloodline descendants of these people who was involved back in yester times. So that's who I am. I won the paper genocide I'm the first chief to void a corporation on paper. The evidence is on Google. It has been acknowledged by the United Nations, although we don't need the acknowledgement. We just have to declare that we remember who we are and act accordingly. So from there, that was the paper genocide. The paper genocide is your birth paper that tie you to a corporation and call you a citizen. If you go check the Black's Law Dictionary and see what a citizen is, you'd see it's a dead entity or a corporate entity that has no rights. That's why, like in a state of emergency here on Kairi, orchestrated by the corporation called Trinidad, that's why they could suspend your constitutional right. A right is not something that they could suspend with a stroke of a pen. Then that means it was never a right to begin with. So the paper genocide that I won was retaking our right, reclaiming our position, and voiding our birth papers and taking back up the mantle from 326 years ago and standing up against the invaders, the colonists, the conversos, the moriscos, the many names they have throughout history, the Spanish conquistadors, and all those guys. We are standing again, continuing from that time to now. So that's who I am, that's where I hail from, and That's basically, you could refer to me as Chief Min Waab if you want a name to refer to. That clear enough for everybody?
Yeah.
Right. So you could proceed with any question about what I said just now or any other topic. We could go ahead.
Chat is below.
Say that again. I didn't hear that person properly just now.
I would like for you to pick up where you were going when you were asked to explain your position, Chief.
What specifically? I explained a lot of things just now. Could you be more specific?
Yes, sir. I didn't get the clarity on the as it is above, it is below. I don't know, maybe I missed it. I
Oh,
was listening for it, but then you had to go explain and exactly your bio and the important things to the people in the group.
okay. So let me just dig into it a bit. As above, so below is an ancient concept that is a part of 9 principles. Right? These principles were our ancient ancestors' way of mapping the best way possible to live on this planet. So as above, so below is a correspondence of the cosmos in relation to this planet, Zurikia, called Tiamat, now called Earth. Right? So what they did, the ancients and them did, they mapped the stars according to our origins, because you would hear people on TikTok, on YouTube, we are people that we call carry star seed or star bloodline. And basically, those who responsible for the creation of this planet, they're not from this planet, because obviously if you had to create this planet, it can't be here. You had to be from somewhere else. So as above, so below came about with us making that connection with our celestial bloodline or celestial ancestors, as it was here, because they came to this planet now called Earth. So the as above, below principle is us mapping or making that connection with the cosmos here on Earth, as it pertains to our family or our heritage.
Thank you, Chief.
Wait, just now 1 second. Let the sister answer if she's clear.
No, hold on, sir. I'm doing a job. You have to hold on. I'm in the middle.
Okay,
of
you the moderator, so go ahead. My apologies.
Sister Aria, how are you? Are you available? Like, are you busy? Like, are your hands free, Sister Aria?
Not really, kind of. Do you need something?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions coming in. So I wanted to see if we could do like a tag team, in the sense of you ask one, I ask one, because there are a lot coming in. I'm gonna have to run back through to write down some of them. All right.
No problem at
All
all.
right.
Yeah, are you on top of that?
All right.
Yeah. I think one of the question was pertaining to a village or something in Trinidad.
One sec, Aria. You next. But Chief had requested that B respond to him. So after B respond to him, you go, Aria, because remember I did a Chief.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Chief. I understood everything you said up to that point, but it is so many more questions. But I guess some of them are going to end up getting answered anyway, because I'm not the only one, who's probably thinking about your answer. So I'm going to just listen and only know how I appreciate you spending this time with us.
I appreciate the time spending with you all too. Thank you very much.
All right, Aria, your time.
Okay. The question is do you have any affiliation or association with any of the indigenous tribes or villages here in the country?
All right, so to answer that question, I'd have to break down what indigenous means in this day and time. I have also a video on TikTok that pertains to it as well, but I'd say it here for the sake of everyone. to be indigenous in this day and time is to be something they call an autochthon. An autochthon is somebody who carries about themselves with the knowledge of the autonomy that their blood or birthright carries. With that said, I will say this now. An indigenous being or somebody representing their ancestors.
My Lord Chief.
Go ahead.
My Lord Chief, I beg, I'm sorry, please. You know that we have been oppressed. Can you break down that first thought
All right.
that you were when you were talking about the chapter and what it carries? You know, so that even the simpler ones can understand, like myself.
All right. So, all right. Let me go back from beginning then. So, indigenous people, what they call an indigenous people now, are the original people that they came here and met when they were invading and setting up their corporations, right? We could agree on that?
Who is they, Chief?
Okay, so, all right. So they are who we call the conversos or the moriscos, or you would know them as the conquistadors. But to say that they are the conquistadors only would just be to narrow them down. There would lot of them going by different names who were a part of the invasion. Right? So when I say they, I am speaking of the invaders who were not from here, who invaded here and did all that was recorded of what they did. So when I say they, I'm speaking about the invaders. They came. Clear enough?
Thank you.
All right. So when they came, they met us here as they also recorded themselves. Now, not to go through the whole long history unless a question is asked on it, we are fast forward to these times. How we fast forward to these times, there was no agreement between the indigenous who the wars were being fought.
I'm sorry, my Lord. Please be patient. Please be patient, my Lord. We are so lost and your knowledge is needed. When you say us, do you mean Trinidadian Caribs? Do you mean West Africans? Who did they find here? Because, you know, these are things that we are confused about, Chief. So,
Okay.
please be patient.
Okay, good question. When the Spanish conversos and the Moriscos came here, they came here and met the very many tribes, the Galibis, the Aruakai. I am not speaking about anyone from Al-Kebulan, now called Africa. I'm not speaking about them. There is absolutely no record by the so-called colonizers of them bringing any Africans here between the 1498 and 1797, and even further up to 1845 when the Fatal Razak came with the Hindus. So I'm not speaking about any Africans, west, north, south, central, no Africans at all here. I'm speaking about the American Indian, who they call the American Indian, who we know in our language, the Algonquin language, as Niji. That means blood brother. So we call ourselves Niji. They call us Indians. They call us Caribs, Arawaks, cannibals, all kind of things they call us. The invaders and those who came to these lands. We identify ourselves as brothers, Niji, and different words to the effects in different languages. So there were many different tribes. Many different tribes. If I go to start calling names now, it will take us at least half an hour, literally. Right? So they came and met those many tribes here because we were always here. So let me go to prove that now in the existing evidence that I have to say to confirm what I'm saying. The oldest pyramids on the planet are in South America. The most amount of pyramids, and everyone here could just go type it up on Google right now as I'm saying it and go and check and see how much they are. You could check where they are. The biggest pyramid is in South America. We understand this landmass as one America. There is no north, south, or central. If it wasn't for the Panama Canal, it would be one straight landmass. And the Panama Canal is man-made. So this whole Americas was our family. So we used to be going from north to south frequently, and very many tribes. So when I speak of those who came here, I'm speaking about those who came from the other side, like Europe who were run out of Alkebulan for their dirty ways. We'll get into that. I'm speaking about those under the Spanish Inquisition who were forced to flee. They came to this side and met us, the tribes who originally from here was always here. Right? So I'm speaking about them. When they came here, they met us in all our culture, in our matriarchal stance. It had a matriarch running our tribes. It had we were living and trading with each other. And then they came. To make a long story short, when they came, because they look like us, plenty people might not be aware of this, but they were what the records, the Spanish records and the British records, the British War Office record them as Swati. Swati, Tani is the names they used to use in place of what we have now as black. Right? So Swati was the description of these invaders who were run out of Spain from the Spanish Inquisition. At this point, I would like to just drop names of what they were called when they were being run out of Spain. You could take a pen and write down Etruscan, Etruscan, Etruscan Moors. And you could research that and we could probably do a part 2 and get into all this stuff. But they were eating babies, drinking blood, having sex with children and that type of stuff. And they were run out of Africa first. They went north into Spain and all these other European countries, called by different names back then, obviously. And when the Inquisition happened, they were forced to flee from there and to search new places. And that's how they came via the equatorial currents to the Americas. When they came here, they met us here in all our glory, all our matriarchal glory. And I'm stressing on the matriarchal because I want the females in the box or in the panel or listening audience to know that they had a place running everything. And the men was more or less like the law enforcers. And the chief was responsible for that side of the thing. But the setting up and the running of a tribe and the nurturing of a tribe was all up to the women. There was a matriarch, and that's how the thing used to run, under a feminine order. Right? When they came and saw that, they thought it was weak. Go ahead.
Chief. So we have a flow and an understanding, and remember, I'm trying to, without knowing your custom,
right?
I'm doing my best to honor your custom. So
you're doing a good job so far.
We're getting a lot of questions. How do you suggest that we proceed? Do you want to take on questions and give short answers so we can get as much in, or you know, how do you recommend we proceed?
Well, basically, the questions that will come up would take us back to the origins, and guess we're not trying to cover millions of years in a couple of hours. So what we could do is we could take in about like 9 questions, and we could answer them once we clear them off the board. Hopefully they don't run into other questions. We could take our next 9 and we could continue, because I have 4 hours on the board, so we have 4 hours to work with. So you could probably take a group of questions and we answer them and we continue from there like that. Groups of 9s. How that sound?
Groups of 9s is fair. Diamond Couture, what should I do? There's a lot of people asking questions in the box, and if Chief really expounds the way he needs to, and he only has 4 hours, I'm telling you, we're not going to make it. The amount of questions we have right now, from the nation to all kind of things, Diamond. So I have to make a decision and say, how will I get most of the questions answered? So I guess we need to vote. Chief, I'm just going to ask something, because I'm going to tell you we won't get past 9 questions.
I'm learning something, not to butt in, y'all, and I swear to God, I'm sorry. But a lot of times, once you hear the whole thing, some of the questions will answer themselves. I'm just chiming in.
Beautiful. So you're exactly where I'm going. Because I am viewed as Hitler, I want to be democratic. So what I'm asking is that the people in the box respond to my question. Please participate so we can have a real reflective answer of the current community. Now, if you would like us to proceed in a manner where the chief fully does his presentation as Sister B has recommended, and then if there's any time left, we ask questions, or should we be able to interject and ask questions. So if you want the chief to make a full presentation and then questions after, please put a 1 in the chat. If you feel that your question is vital and we need to get through these questions, which would be left to me and Aria and the host, then put 2 in the chat. Please help us so that we can have the most productive meeting possible.
Well, let me just make a suggestion here, man. Right? One of the first questions was for the chief to introduce himself. And he, was on a very important point when he started to introduce himself. Right? He was explaining to everyone why he's a chief. And in order to be a chief, or to be the chief of the status that he is, you have to fight and win whatever battles he just described. No, he wanted to explain to you what battle he has won to have the status that he has now. And that would have led into very important questions, rather just wild random questions.
While I respect your opinion, I know the people in the box, and I'm looking at the questions, and they're valid, and they're serious, important ones. So
I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not saying they're not important, and I'm not saying that they're invalid.
Hold on, brother. And hence, that is why I did not rely on my own wisdom, but I asked the community what they desire, sir. All right? So please just allow me to do my little job, please. All right, so the ones have it. Go ahead, Chief, it's your floor.
All right. So the ones was, just tell me what the ones was again. What, the 9 questions? Say that again.
The same thing I just suggest. Just basically let them know why he is who he is, and it would basically kind of get them an idea where we are, because we really want to move forward. Time is really against us. You see what I'm saying? So we really want to move forward, compact something that will be real good food for thought. So just carry on as to why is the chief after you win the paper 1 and such and such.
Right. All right. So all right, so the paper genocide is where I was going, right? So basically what happened was, when they invaded, we were fighting wars all up until 1797. You could go check out the British Carib Wars. They call us the Black Caribs. You see the British Carib Wars are 1795 to 1797. Subsequently to that, this island was ceded to Britain in 1797, and Elizabeth II reserved the island. It is gazetted. I have the picture. You could I could send it to the host after the meeting. They reserved the island as the island of experiment. Right? I'll tell you what the experiment is. However, what they did after the wars, they were confined to what they call in Puerto España now, or Port of Spain. They were confined to that area after the big battle that shook the Spanish government and the whole of the Spanish Americas. So what happened after that, they were confined to this area that they call in Port of Spain right now. Meanwhile, the rest of tribes of people on this island was still here, right? But after time passed, what they did was, some of the tribes, and I could give you the names of the tribes, one of them was called the Nipoyos, some were called the Sepoya. Some of them started to side with the, obviously because they look like us, woolly-haired Swati people, they started to side with them. Some women went to join them, and more importantly, when they gave birth to their children, they informed these colonizers. That practice carried on to date in what is called your birth paper. Now, if everybody could pull up their birth paper, you would see your mother and father is listed as informants. We all from what they call in the Caribbean, and we all know informer are dead, according to the local parlance and the Caribbean parlance. If that is the case, then your 2 parents are the first people to die, because they informed on the births and told the invaders that you were born, and they gave them a receipt that is called to date a birth paper, birth certificate, or whatever you want to call it. However, that is a receipt of a point of sale. How these things work, or how they made it work, right, is that once I sell something to you, obviously that's how commerce works, I become the owner. So everybody who had a birth or who have a birth paper basically is a slave to Trinidad and Tobago, the corporation. When I say Trinidad and Tobago, for all intents and purposes, I am speaking of an invading, illegal, terrorist organization on indigenous people's land. So, that practice was carried on from the 1800s coming up the road, and then the corporation gained the majority because a lot of indigenous people carried the children to the corporation under the guise of benefit and this and that and that and the other, and were tricked into selling their children to the corporation. So the corporation gained a majority on the island. After that, they claim that they own the lands, they own the resources and whatnot and what have you. We living in present day now. So there are such things as state lands. You would hear those things used loosely around and all that type of thing. All that is because our ancestors a couple hundred years ago told the invaders about the birds that they were having, and they agreed to enter the children or have the children go into agreement with them so they could facilitate whatever agenda the corporation was pushing at the time. So now the war that I won was, I found out in 2017 that Elizabeth II was a proven fraud, not by any talk or anything like that, like how the Rastaman and them will say Babylon system is a fraud. It was actually a court decision by jury verdict, and it has a transcript for that court. We have it in our documents as well. So let me take you back a little bit again. When the indigenous people started registering the children with the corporation, they gained something in 1962 called independence. Let me explain that to everyone here now. Independence just simply means independence for the Virginia Company to operate on indigenous people land. That don't mean that you have independence. The whole Caribbean is governed. The highest court of appeal for the whole Caribbean is called the Privy Council. It's just Free Vibes Cartel. Right? Meanwhile, he living in Jamaica, in Chimaka. The Privy Council is in England, in Albion, where Chief Harcouf is there right now. Meanwhile, they making decisions for all these islands. Why is that? Because of 1962. 1962, what you call the independent constitution gave the companies leeway to operate on the land, and all the indigenous people started registering with them, and so they became the majority. And now they set all kind of erroneous laws, called laws, on the land and force you, the indigenous who own the land, to live by it. Meanwhile, you don't know that that's not how it's supposed to be. So what happened was, with finding out the information of Elizabeth because she did the Federation Constitution first for the islands, the Commonwealth as they are so called, and then for this island, 1976, for Chimaka, I think it's something 74, somewhere around there, but they got a Republican Constitution after. What that literally meant was that Elizabethan laws would be governing your land, not indigenous autonomous laws. So with her being a fraud, what I did was reverse the paper genocide on paper. And all the document is, I wouldn't go through the document now, but it basically used the evidence that her being a fraud, a proven fraud, means that she could have never ratified any independence for anyone, nor could she make anybody a Republican, right? So, therefore, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, St. Vincent, all these things are fraud. It is understood. I was taught this by the International Criminal Court. So, because they are fraud, the indigenous people just merely have to do a couple shifts in order to change certain things on their behalf and come out from under their jurisdiction, so to speak. So what that paper war was doing that exactly, and then we didn't gain it. We claimed our autonomy on the land, and we started operating as indigenous. So by way of the documents that we presented and the facts that we presented about Elizabeth II, that was what you call a paperwork. It was never presented. This island was running under corporation rule for 60 something years. It was voided in 2 years ago. So as of 2 years ago, there is no such thing as Trinidad and Tobago. The only reason why it's standing up is because a lot of people keep going and renew the license. You go and get a birth paper. You go and do a whole lot of other things. So again, the majority rule again, just like 200 years ago. So basically, when the United Nations and the Crown accepted our documents without rebuttal, they had 30 days to rebut and they couldn't rebut it. So it stands as everything is true or fact, and that's what we live by. So therefore, we carry no Trinidad and Tobago identification. We don't consider ourselves as Trinidadian or Tobagonian, and we are not considered by the courts here or in England as Trinidadians or Tobagonians. We are recognized as indigenous people, autochthonous Americans, Galibian, Arawakai people. Everything that has to do with indigenous, that's who we were recognized as, and that's because of the paperwork that I won 2 years ago, and that's how I became the chief, and that's how we've been functioning. What happened was 7 years ago I was introduced to the information about the Queen, and it took us a couple of years to get the knowledge together. We had to learn law and all that type of thing, and then we presented the documents. It stood up, it was not rebutted, and so therefore the battle was won. And now everybody that looked like me could walk out from under the corporation. People flying on plane with our travel card. You could do all kinds. We operate vehicles with our travel card, and that is upheld by all the invaders. So that is the war I won. That's how I became the chief, and now only by this tribe you have access to do that, because we are the ones that presented it. It's now our intellectual property or copyright material, and so that's basically how we reached to this point. So I could probably stop there and take some questions on that, because I guess that would raise a whole heap of other questions. So moderator.
I think that would be a good direction, because basically that is what we're really dealing with, you know. You
Right.
understand? I've been following this show for let's say about a week. I know a lot of positive people in here, and the stuff that they talk about is the stuff that we do as a tribe. You see what I'm saying? And I realize it's just certain information that is missing, you know. So that is why I asked the host to, you know, let's just have this night here.
All right, just 1 second. So this brother speaking here, you would see him under alias, but he's also the chief of Albion. You know it as England, right? He's one of my chiefs under our banner, and so this is why he's up front like that. But Hakuf, we'll just hand it over to the host and let their host do the moderating, and so they could have a nice flow to order, also fulfill what they want to get out of the meeting with us as well. So the moderator, you could continue.
Hi, you spoke about your tribe, and I would ask if you would kindly elaborate more on your tribe. What are the principles, what you all stand on, if that is okay.
That is quite okay there. So our tribe, we are known corporately as the Caribbean Alubera indigenous people. What upholds that name is the Galibian Arawakai people, the Palenques, the Arco, the Chima, the Mayapuri. If I call out how much of us link together, it will take half an hour. But basically, our principles are very complex and unique. However, it is part of our DNA, so just me breaking it down, it make a lot of sense to you. So basically, our principles run under feminine principles. Basically, what that is this. And now, before I go any further, I was not always like this. I had a profession in the corporation, and my profession in the corporation, I was a paramedic, right? So I'm going to say something from a medical point of view, and you all could go check it out. To enter this planet, everybody have to come by way of the vagina, correct? or cesarean section, right? Because of that, at 3 months of gestation, every single being that comes to this planet carries a vagina, or what you'd call a early vagina. Hence the reason why a scrotum has a seam in it. That is where it closes up and the testosterone turns into a male after 3 months. With that being said, there is a higher level reason for that. This planet is a feminine planet. It was seeded here with females and made functional by certain feminine energies from outside of this planet. However, it was made to be governed with both degrees, meaning masculine and feminine degrees, right? But with a proper balance of a woman in her full glory and a man, it works perfectly. So our tribe, even though it runs under a matriarchal order, there is the chief alongside the matriarch. The matriarchal principles run like this. We don't eat pork. We don't interfere with little children. We don't do what they call in drugs. We do have a religion. Simple, normal, common sense things, right? Higher level things are things like this. As a tribe individual or a tribe being, you are not part of the invaders, or you don't support anything that would give the invaders any power over your land or any power over you, right? Doing that is a whole list of how you operate as being a tribe member. But we operate on a tribal calendar. Our tribal calendar operates off our head chief, that is our great chief, Chief Thunderbird Black Eagle, right? We recognize the new year in March, somewhere around March the 3rd, right? We recognize the end of the year on somewhere around December the 21st, right? What else? We rarely, very rarely, operate under a monogamous structure, although it is not shunned. What else? Well, the whole LGBTQIA and the whole alphabet soup, that is absolutely unequivocally not supported in any shape or form by our tribe or tribe members. We do marriage basically by health and bloodline. There are a whole barrage of things that pertains what our tribe is basically. So if you want anything specific, I could get into the specifics as far as it would permit, and but that's just basically a general idea, as I say. So we do have we do believe, as I was explaining to the brother, we do have a belief or a belief system. We look at that as not to disrespect anybody or anything like that. We look at that as a full operation, just for the mere meaning of the word belief. So we have nothing like that. We do, however, have what you call, what they would call today spirituality, right? But it's our way of life. If we, well, to get into that would be a next 4 hours, but we could touch briefly on it. But basically, we see ourselves as, how to put it, boy? Your language has it as gods, right? And goddesses. That's how we see ourselves, right? We worship no one. We pray to no one. We respect those who respect us. We respect other races. We do not promote interracial mixing, but we are aware of where we live and what we went through, so certain things are permitted. The head seats in the tribes are for what we would consider pure blood, and a pure blood is a copper tone, woolly head, Neji, feminine and masculine. I could go on and on. So if that would suffice or you want to get specific, you could go ahead and ask again.
So you touched on spirituality, and I know there are a lot of people who have questions about that. Can you just go a bit further on that, explain what that means for the tribe and so on?
Right. I wouldn't call it spirituality. I would call it our way of life, right? Because if we go in by the standard I wanted the brother to stay at. If we use spirit, a spirit is a dead entity, a spook or a ghost, right? So we don't deal with none of that type of thing. What we deal with is a way of life that is, well, closer to science, basically. So here's how it goes. Everything has order, everything exists by way of existence, right? Just to put it in an English format, not to confuse anybody. So you must have existence in order to have creation. So existence, we consider what you would call existence, we consider that in the best word in the English language for it is all. In our language, we call it Temta, Papaut, and Kulum. Right? It is what the best way to describe it is, if you have a thought, you can't get that thought outside of it because there is no outside of it. If you have a gender that they now make up the other day, all that come from within it. If you're calling something evil, evil come from within it as well. If you're calling something good, it comes from within it as well. It has no gender. So like how people in religion say God and he's the father, and we don't subscribe to that concept at all. Right? So our source is all. What you could think of and what you cannot think of. That source is the reason for existence. Somebody said something. Okay. Right. So that source, what we call Kulum, to understand it in an English mind, you would have to think it as existence. And what is existence, or the reason for existence? It is that. And within that comes everything else. And from that, we see things from, it will go more into a scientific point of view. Supreme balancement is the state it was in before all this happened, if you want to put a timeline to it. Outside of supreme balancement, it's third, what we have as vibration, what we call vibration in English. Vibration is the key for everything. So basically, vibration is the result of everything, or everything vibrates as a result, or everything is a result of vibration. So basically, wood vibrates at a certain frequency, concrete vibrates at a certain frequency, diamond vibrates at a certain frequency. This vibration has its origin from the source, and that was the first action of the source from out of supreme balancement. Right? Stay with me a little bit. From that vibration, everything else is possible here on out. Because if everything is a result of vibration, then we have matter could result from vibration. We have beings could result from vibration. So you could get the concept of where you're going. So with this stirring, there were tiers of beings that were created. Though the highest tier of being, we consider them our ancestors. They are indeed and in fact our ancestors. Because we are just in time and chronological space removed from them. The reason now why we are less than we are is because we were brainwashed, as the host was saying, and corrupted with all different type of practices that mask our comic book superhero powers, if you want to put it in that concept. So go ahead. Just remember, the sister have a question, eh?
Yeah, this energy they speak about by transmitting and contain. What is the source of this energy? Is it?
Right. The source of this energy is what we refer to as the indigenous as Temta, Kulum. No, it is not. Now understand this. Those words are not English words. So follow me with this now. Could somebody who cannot speak French think a French thought? That would be impossible, right? So this word I'm explaining to you, I am just transliterating it. I'm just translating it and not transliterating it. So I cannot explain to you exactly what it is in English. English does not has the parameters to explain it, basically. Well, from our understanding, Kulum. Say that again. I hear in linguistics, and I don't know what you say before that.
linguistics, right?
Just linguist. Just.
Let me just move on from that now. Let me just move on. Chief, continue now.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't take that right now, please.
All right.
There was a question
Yeah.
asking about
The spirituality
the
part.
social system. Oh, when you finish with that, please.
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
So I just finishing the answering it. So indigenous people recognize this source coming into beings, basically, to make a long story short, and those are directly our ancestors. Our spirituality is, or they would call spirituality, or what we practice would be respect for our ancestors or those who came before us. That's the only form that you see actively happening. So that's the closest thing you'd call to what they call in spirituality now. So we remember them, we acknowledge the things that they were taught by them, and we live our life that way. So in order to honor what they were taught from descending from the source, the supreme source, and creating beings to live in supreme balancement with creation, basically. So that's basically a little nutshell of our spirituality, not of our spirituality, for lack of a better word, just to not get long-winded. So that kind of clear for your sister, because we could go into depths of it and break it down into different tiers, but that would take a bit of a time. But we respect those who created us, and we see the source as the ultimate power, if you want to put it in that terminology.
I think the comments, persons in the comments are pleased with the answer.
All right.
So based on the social construct, the economic construct of your tribe, are they self-sufficient?
All right. Very good question. Self-sufficiency is something that we promote avidly. So we once had, when we shifted the headquarters, we once had a whole community up on in the mountains on the Blanchisseuse Road that was running straight off of solar. The planting was going on. We had everything basically already like that. We have shifted from that area because there are artifacts of our ancestors. I'm talking about megalithic statues that look like me and you, that are in a certain location on the island. And because of the sensitivity of its nature, we were forced to shift our attention there. So we have since moved from there, but we are accustomed to living like that. We promote farming, we promote staying healthy in terms of living off of what you plan to eat. Same basic, all these concepts that they're promoting now, gardening culture, all these horticultures, all the different type of fauna cultures, all these styles were indigenous styles. So basically that's what we're doing right now. So I have a farm, I have a couple goats, we have some chickens and all that type of stuff. We have other members with other animals and things. So get this right, all this information we have now, but remember, everybody that now hearing it was living a certain way. I myself was living a certain way up until 7 years ago. So we now kind of getting ourselves on our feet in terms of self-sustaining, but basically we already have that on the way. We have sitting right here looking at some solar panels that we had to implement in this location that I'm telling you about, where some artifacts are. So yeah, that's what we promote. That's how our way of life goes. So we don't eat processed food and none of them type of thing. We kind of more or less make everything ourselves. So that's basically our social construct. The men do most of the work as usual, and the feminine more or less handle the house affairs and that kind of thing, or with what we would call house affairs. But they are very much adept in the knowledge or execution of indigenous living and lifestyle. So do even think for a second, and I'm not talking, I know some people might think in their mind, if we living with loincloths and that type of stuff. No, we have high technology. We were responsible for technologies that run the planet in time before, and so we are aiming to get back to that. So we're not walking around with loincloth and using string for phone and that type of stuff. So the social construct is very much adaptable to present living situations, but still maintaining an indigenous culture and an indigenous mindset. If you could understand that.
Well, I'm gonna thank you from your great grandchildren. I'm going to thank you personally from them because we may not live in that lifetime, but they will be thanking you, sir. I mean, Chief. They will be thanking you.
Appreciate that. Ancestors will see it through for sure. If that is clear, we could move to the next one.
Sorry, as it pertains to the children of the tribe,
Oh,
do they?
our children do. If you're thinking about education, and our children do. All right, so this will get into some sticky stuff, right? My background, as I told you all before, in the corporate world is paramedic, right? So I am privy to certain information. So our children, I am currently training or having a list of women listed for training under the midwifery and that type of stuff, because that is what I am adept at because of my training. So I currently have 221 deliveries under my belt. So we kind of transferring that knowledge to the feminine now. But our children do not know what a hospital is. They don't know what a doctor is. They don't know what a nurse is. Right? They don't know what an injection needle is. Right? I have my last, well, not my last, because we're still alive. So my four smallest youth they don't have that to deal with. Right? So we don't vaccinate our children. No, there is no vaccine that is good. If you all don't want to take that information, go check out a doctor called Dr. Judy Mikovits, Mikovits, and she would let you know that there is not one vaccine that was created that is good. And from my experience, 17 years in the medical field, I could tell you that there is none that is good. So we don't expose our children to that terror. We don't expose them to that injustice. Our children are homeschooled. What else, boy? They are taught commercial operations because we have an invader on the land. We have to teach them commercial operations. They are taught tribal operations. With my children, there is a succession to be had, so they are aware of the power that they have in their bloodline and what has to follow them coming up. So they are taught basically our way of life, our thinking, our perspective, and not no invaders' perspective or no invaders' concept. I do even buy toys for my children around Christmas. Right? So that's how serious people might say we is a cult or whatever. But cult is from culture. And if you don't have a culture, somebody will form one for you. So let me make my culture for my children, and our tribe make our culture for our children, so we could have a culture, because we not acquiescent to the present culture that they present. So our children are very, very highly valued. We don't promote abortion at all. Right? And that's why we have polygamy going on, because our feminines are not to be stressed. Meanwhile, we are not to be having any little bit of children either. So that is not the job for one feminine, and our feminines understand that, overstand that. So that is a concept that we have already conquered. Our children will see to it that things go and continue in this way. So our children are very, very protected, very, very valued. The fastest way to die is to interfere with one of our children, just to give you a concept. I yield there.
Y'all all gonna be back. And it's not gonna take long for y'all tribe to come back, Chief. I mean, oh my God. I don't know what else to say because I don't have no questions. But I just want to say that yes, oh my God, you are getting ready to bring everything back the way it was when it comes to your tribe. And for that, Chief, I am like freaking overwhelmed. overwhelmed.
I appreciate the love, sister. And for if people was wondering, the reason why these things are possible is because it literally is already starting over. The old world has crashed. The powers that were, the powers that be was the powers is the powers that were, and everything is on the reset. Even though the deep state promoting their reset is because it naturally is in a reset. Our ancestors, the Mayas, the Incas, and a couple of them had mapped all these charts before. So it is in a reset, and that's why we're able to do what we're doing. So basically, we restarting and replenishing. Basically, all these people who into the religion, if they really read the scriptures properly, they'd see that they were speaking about the indigenous people. The meek shall inherit the earth. The word meek is effeminate. Effeminate don't mean batiman. Effeminate mean those who recognize the feminine nature. Right? So it's just to back what you're saying, that it's on a reset and it's starting where it's going forward. We're not really going back. We have the knowledge of back, so we're going forward. And so this is why all this is possible. This is why this information, prior to this, I was kidnapped in 2019 by the corporate government of Trinidad and Tobago. And a judge, a magistrate, I could call his name is Magistrate Bambanat Dube, right? And that's how bad we is. We could do that and not get any legal penalization because the laws their rules do apply to us. So I could call his name. He sent a threat with the welfare officer to tell me that this information that I'm saying, I better hush my mouth, otherwise they would lose me in the jail. So I was forced to take a deal to hush my mouth, and as soon as they release me, guess what? We make an international connection and I spit everything out on the internet. So now they just shadow ban my channel and try the best to suppress the information, but it's gone, it's done. We on the reset. So next question.
I'm so positive that you don't have nothing to worry about, not getting me either.
That's true. Yeah. All right, next question.
I have a question from Jaria, and Jaria wants to know if you are in any way responsible or involved with the effort to change the representations on the Trinidadian flag and coat of arms. I mean the Trinidadian coat of arms.
No, I am not, but I can explain to you what that is though. Because of the reset, everybody is required to do a new contract. All their slaves, no disrespect to anybody, but once you carry an active birth paper, you are a slave. So they want to re-contract with all their slaves. So they change, and once they change the emblem that carries their national emblem or their coat of arms, so to speak, you will be required to redo your documents, and that's be renewing your contract with the corporation to give them some more life on the land. So no, I am not involved in that. I am not involved in revamping, nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago. As a matter of fact, I am actively against the corporation, not in a violent way, but in an information way. Right? So we don't recognize Trinidad and Tobago. Period. Right? We recognize Kairi and Alubera, as our ancestors called it. Trinidad and Tobago is a corporate entity. Trinidad and Tobago does not exist unless you write it down. Right? So I'm not involved in that. No, I am not. Next question.
I have a question from a John Doe. Do you have enough land for development?
Beautiful question. So I was explaining to you about the Trinidad and Tobago Corporation, and I was explaining that you would hear the terms. The terms would be loosely flung around, like state lands and government owned and all that type of stuff. That is just code for indigenous people lands we conquered. So yes, currently I am on family land, bloodline, like direct family bloodline land that is not owned by any corporate entity. But other than that, we are directly, we had a meeting with the head of the army, then that was CO Neb at the time, and they understand that the whole island belongs to us. So wherever we operate and set up, all we have to do is identify ourselves. We have our paraphernalia for that, i.e. our flags and statues and them type of stuff. And wherever we set up, that's our land. So we have too much land and too little people, to answer her question. We have the John Doe question, right? We have, basically the whole island belongs to us. You do have to, once you look like me, you do have to buy no land. All you do is get yourself from out under the corporation. We would show you how to do it once you're worthy enough to be a part of the tribe. I'd have to put it that way. And you go and you set up yourself on, now we're not taking people's stuff that they buy via theft. Although it is theft and they are deeds to it and all that type of stuff, we're not creating a problem. But places that they call in state lands that are empty and all that type of stuff, that's our lands. So you get one, be a tribe member, take yourself out, the land is yours. There's obviously ways to set it up that I'm not saying here in detail for obvious reasons. But yes, we have real land.
Are you based in Arima with Nyarima tribe? Tribes of Nyarima?
Right. Are you referring to Bharat?
Not Bharat tribe, but I spoke to him some time back here concerning that, and that same issue came up that I asked about having enough land for development.
Right.
And because I know that the state of Trinidad and Tobago does not own any land in Trinidad, nowhere, no part of Trinidad. I know that, and I tell people that every day. So that is one thing about it. Because there I've been there, and I want to come back there to speak with the guys sometime, maybe by the end of this month.
All right, I know who he is now. I now know who he is. Well, so that one was explaining that we move from there and we head into where I would say what it is. There's a Olmec statue, or Olmec head, up in the north of this island. So we move our operations. Right now we base our put the headquarters where it started originally in Grandy. Our headquarters is there. Basically our base of operations will be here. We're now starting to set it back up on that level. But the lands that the lands that we're talking about, or the lands that we have accessible, are basically just like you say, the state lands. But where we aiming to set up now is we need to protect this artifact here. So that's where we go in.
That is where.
I would not say that right now on this.
Careful, John Doe.
Oh, hello. I know that.
Remember I told you you have some money for me, eh? I say it's a corporation, bro.
I don't know if I have money for you.
Yeah, you owe me.
Okay, you being a Brazilian, I don't think I have any money for you.
My mother had rights there, boy.
Yeah, but that is not you. You is not your mother. So
She had to leave it for... Who is the executive of the land, boy?
you find out that. Yes, but I'm saying, when Grandy, because I have to come back. I have to come by the end of... I was hoping to come by the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in Arima there. I think you're saying that you all have moved out from there. I need to find exactly where the head office is. So, you know, there's a lot to be discussed.
All right. Well, you could contact he's under the alias Crime Boss there right now, but you could contact him and send the information to him, and he would get everything to me.
Alias Crime Boss where? And number what? Where?
He's on the panel. Oh, I think. Where is he? Chief Akuf, you there? All right, that's him there where you see his icons lighting up when he speaks. You could get his contacts.
The crime boy?
Crime boss, just follow me and or message me or wherever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question, please, sir. Please, Chief. I'd like to know, could you say that there was one particular, for lack of a better word, character trait? I mean, not DNA, but character trait that you find that your tribe may have across the board in the women and the men that helps them to know that this is the proper way to live? Like, is there a character trait that y'all share in order for, everything to be so smooth?
Oh, so you're speaking in terms of tribal markings or identity markers.
Right.
All right, so our feminine, they wear a side braid on the right hand side of the head most of the times, unless they're under some special order or some other order from the matriarch or something like that. Usually they wear a braid on the right side of the hair or of the head, and the males, we wear a braid in what we call locally here the greedy hole, or your behind your head, the lower part of behind your head. So
Like a Cherokee.
right. So that was one that plot has so much significance, but one of the most important significance for us here this day and time is the level of braid that plot could carry would tell the level of strength of your bloodline. So in other words, then the nappier the root, the stronger the bloodline. But we also have different variations of roots in terms of original woolly head people. Some of them have wire type woolly hair, some of them have soft wavy hair, and all of them original and not mixed with nothing. What happened is different tribes was mixing with each other, and we have different genetic phenotypical presentations that manifest from time to time. Oh, well, sorry, just to bring it down to normal level, we have certain traits that would present itself on the physical that you could see from time to time. So yeah, well, but the one marker that stands out that is just obvious across the board, woolly hair type, copper tone, the different variations of copper tone is the one common feature amongst the original American Neji, right? Everything else, like who these people and them jump up and they see a set of Chinese eyes straight here, people calling themselves indigenous, them is mixed people, right?
You can look at a person and pretty much say if indeed they are a part of your tribe. You can look at a person, or how do how do you determine, or is everybody like, I heard everything you've taught me. So all of the colored people that are found in those land masses, which is America and everywhere, we are automatically a part of your tribe. Is this the truth?
Nothing but the truth.
All right. So here now, next for me, are the practices that I am hearing that you guys have elevated, in my opinion, to be a lifestyle for y'all, are those practices being practiced anywhere other than, say, like the circumference of what it is you guys are putting together there?
Well, there would be similar types of it, because guess what? Our Grand Chief, he affected millions of people, and there are millions of offshoots who would claim his name but wouldn't carry the authenticity of what he was teaching. So there would be some similarities. You'd hear certain people talking, and then information is spreading a lot. So people who do even know who the Grand Chief is, they picking up his information, going with it, and they don't even know his part of his our information. So yes, yeah, you would see similarities from other people, like in terms of we don't mourn funeral, we don't mourn dead and that type of stuff. We have celebrations for them type of thing, right? We have birth ceremonies. We have what you call I don't want to say spirit, but I don't want to go above anybody's head. So we call it like spirit alignment. What that is basically is like an elder in the tribe, most of the times like a witch doctor, what we would call a witch doctor locally, or a grand matriarch. They could identify a being that a child has come with and help nurture that being into, like, let me say, we all hear about Hiarima who fought against them in the 1700s. You could nurture that being from small, that he would stand up and do the things that him or her has to do. So that's the type of things that that's why we do.
Not like something that's like maybe, something I have to grow into, but is there a name of a book you can give me? And then I have no more questions for you, sir. Juchi, none. I got to catch up. Do you have a name of a book?
Well, it depends on our knowledge is very vast, and so we delve into different books, different concepts, but our leading concepts is always what we call type 1 civilization science, for lack of a better explanation, because that's how the science is calling it now. But is quantum existing in terms of the most efficient that you could live? That's how we do it. So any information that would enhance that to you is good books to read. Don't care who the author is, because the information age right now, and a lot of good things are out there as well as bad, but intuition would give you the edge to cipher between what is good and what is not good. And then there are things that are practical, that make practical sense, right? So a tribal concept, a tribal concept would be, we as a tribe live like this. We do everything that will benefit and promote the tribe, and nothing that wouldn't.
Simple.
Simple.
All right.
Okay.
Simple. Tribe unborn and born.
I appreciate the love. Thank you.
All this information, right? What is the benefit? When we put it as self, what is one self benefit of all this information categorized and put together in one file? If one was supposed to obtain this information secretively, what benefit would it be to this person?
Well, for one, the benefit of it is an improved living standard. And I'm not speaking about the American dream or whatever dream they are promoting out there. An improved living standard is a holistic existence on the planet in the way that your genetics say that you're supposed to do it. So one who acquire this knowledge, one for one, is freedom. So basically, watch this. You going down the road, you're sounding like you're from this island, right? Correct?
Yeah,
right. So you're going down the road, you have a Trinidad and Tobago's driver's license. Now, because of that, you could get stopped, you could get a ticket, you could even lose your license, correct? Or a little bit out of date. Is that still the case, right? No, that is the rules of the corporation. The law of the land is nothing close to that. Right? So, for instance, when that happens to you,
legislation provide a road traffic act, MWOTT, like motor works and
all right. So I'll catch you up to date, because you're sounding like it wasn't here a little bit. That is all made possible by way of your constitution. Your constitution was enacted in 1976, the later Republican Constitution, and in 1962. All were enacted by Elizabeth II. She said be, and so it was. I have proven and gone against that on the record. So that what you talking about does not apply to me. Hence the reason why I move around with a traveler's card that says nothing about Trinidad and Tobago, and I operate a vehicle and go through a roadblock where you could lose your license. And that's one benefit I could point out right on the bat. Next question.
Is it safe to say that you any relationship with the American Indian?
We are American, Niji, misnomer as American Indian. Yes, we are all that, from North America right down to South, up straight down to Chile.
But that name, the The America came after 1776. It was not there before.
Right, we were Amaru Clan, Tamari. If you want to play name game, we could do that too.
No, I'm saying because the name America only came at a point in time.
Right, I could tell you about before that. We were
That was far later than the presence of the Indians on that land.
right.
Way before, right? So America came late. It was named after the 1776 period. Only then that name, America, came into existence.
Beautiful.
So that is why I'm saying the term of that for the Indians and them. That is why I asked if you are related to the American Indians.
No, in that sense that you're speaking there, if you're talking about in terms of originality, no. But for the purpose of this discussion and not to lose people, we would say American Indian. But if I say Amarukan, or if I say Tamari, or if I say Galibi, or if I say Chima, you wouldn't understand those things.
You would understand because those are the people that traveled and came there.
Say that again? Say,
Those are the people traveled and come there through the Ice Age period.
all right. Let me don't lose the direction. When you're saying those are the people, which people you're talking about and which ice age you're talking about that came here? Because the people I am speaking about originate here. They didn't came here. They originated here.
Originated here, meaning that they didn't appear here. When you say originated, it does not mean that it appeared. They were the original first settlers of this.
Not settlers. All right. All right. Let me explain what we're dealing with here now. Our concept is that our ancestors gave birth to our first foremothers here. Right? The planet Earth was one. There was no Africa. There was no America. Right? The Nile and the Mississippi was one. There was no Nile nor no Mississippi. Along that freshwater, beings, according to how our ancestors work it on their science, sprung up along that line of freshwater, what they call the Nile and Mississippi now. Right? They sprung up along that line. So wherever that broke off in terms of tectonic plate movement later on, that is where they ended up, and some of them stayed, some of them moved over and set up what they call in Africa today, and then some of them came back. But I am not speaking about nobody who came from over the Bering Strait and mix in and give that genetic pool added to us. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about those who sprung up along that waterway, that fresh waterway that was once connected when the earth was one. The scientists call Pangea today. So I don't know where you're calling. Hold on. I don't know where you're talking about appear. I am saying that we were created by our ancestors when the planet was one, and we were put here, and where we were put, or where we sprung up from their science project, was along this freshwater line.
That is why I asked the question firstly, if you are anyway part of or connected to the American Indians. Those are called the American.
That is a loose term used. That is a loose term used, my brother. That is a loose term.
But I'm saying you answered it already.
All right.
The answer is no.
All right, beautiful.
That is why I asked the question, because a lot of people in thought thinking about, hey, this is it, and the American Indian, and there's certain things they will tell people, they're asking, well, show the proof, where the proof that they never hear that before, so they don't understand it.
Right.
But people only start to read probably from the Middle Ages or understand something from the Middle Ages. Tell them that happened 1600,000 years ago or 600,000 years ago, you know. They don't believe that. They say that can't exist, and all kind of foolishness. But
John Doe, I can ask them.
you love the man, oh gosh. You get a chance to talk, partner. You get a chance to talk, you know. So
You didn't want to ask a question.
okay, well, just finish. Go ahead.
Man, I just asked a question about.
Go ahead. I done. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask one question, Uncle John. Do you understand that Chief is teaching us that his particular people are not in any way to Africa, that they came from over this side. Do you realize that? That's all I wanted to ask.
On this side, no, if it's saying that there was one land that was separated, then you can't say that.
Well, then I'm under the impression that we are all a part of the same bloodline to a certain degree. But with the clear explanation that I got, by us being separated, then of course you have a bloodline like your kids and their kids and their kids. Now that's good, but if one of your family decides to move to Europe and then you have some kids on that side, then I think for Uncle John, I'm under the understanding, and I think it's clear, that yes, he is related. The question that you asked him was too loaded. Directly, no. But indirectly, yes. That's my understanding. And it makes sense.
Okay, it makes sense to you, but what you say is no, and that makes sense practically to me. No is no. No doesn't mean nothing else.
So let's let him ask again. I gotta get clarity now. So
All right.
what I'm understanding is need to be known here is that if indeed your tribe feels in any formal way that you are connected to other people of color around the world.
The answer to that would be yes.
Wait.
Hold on. It would be yes, and I can explain.
Thank you, Uncle John. You twisted it, Uncle John.
I ain't trusting anything because I didn't answer the question.
He did. The answer is yes. And look why you're twisting it. Because for some reason, Uncle John, you don't want to be connected to other people. I don't know. I've been to this group with you. Not on a religious level, on a bloodline level. Like you can have 10 kids, and all of your kids can go do something different other than what you taught them. But that doesn't mean that they're not who they are. And I think this is the understanding of what's going on here. And it's one that I feel comfortable with just based on his explanation.
Yeah, but
And so I'm out. You go
I'm not
up with
wanting
that.
to belong, you know. I'm not fighting to belong to a tribe or to somebody or to something, you know. I'm not one of them people.
But then you don't have to learn here. But you're trying to interject what this man is teaching, Uncle John, and you're interjecting it with an attitude. And the attitude is this.
Mom,
The attitude is this. No, we're not connected, but we are. Whether you want to be connected or not, Uncle John, we're all freaking connected.
Mom, that is in your book. All right?
That's a fact.
That's to you.
All right. The moderator still here?
This is going to be very hard to accept. But sir, Chief, may I ask if the reason for the resigning of the
Corporate Prime Minister.
Trinidad and Tobago have anything to do with any of what you're saying? Based that you say this, based on what I got, like you said, this started 2 years ago with you, and it was just fine out. Is that
Right.
that have anything?
No, it not directly connected, but it is also connected in a. All right, so get this. The United States Corporation
Yeah.
is connected to the Trinidad Corporation, the Canadian Corporation, and it's a part of the British Commonwealth. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. What we did, it had some bearings, but because there is not a majority saying what we're saying, it can be easily ignored. Follow? Right. However, where the United States Corporation is going is more along the indigenous line. And that's why Trump House was raided at Mar-a-Lago for some files that he took. And it has to do with something called the allodial titles for the land. Right? So there are two different type of titles, allodial and feudal. Right? The feudal is the corporates who give you a deed and that type of thing, and the allodial title is the ones who walking around with the blood right.
Right.
Right. Because that is triggering in North America, it will have an effect on what's happening here. But basically, he is not resigning directly because of that. He's resigning because the deep state, he's connected to the deep state. I don't know if you all saw him in a picture with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a known pedophile. His daughter said he interfered with her multiple times while she bathed. He is in a picture on the front page of the Newsday hugging up Joe and Jill Biden. Right? That type of connection is a I don't want to go into more. But that type of connection is what you call a hidden connection, right? They hug up each other into interlocked shoulders and that type of stuff. But basically, they are all part of what you call a pedophilic deep state cult. Kairi has lost a lot of young daughters to this human trafficking, and that's what they do. They feed off of something called adrenochrome when they scare children, rape them, and then kill them. And so, huh? Right. So all that now is why when Trump comes in, this is about to get exposed. Now names would be calling that would make people literally faint or things like that. Like how a lot of them listening to music like from Diddy and all that type of stuff, only to realize all these guys is Batman. So this type of revelation is what's gonna come out. You're probably gonna ball when you hear what Rowley involved in, but this cult is the cult that came across from the Spanish Inquisition. They still drinking blood, they still raping little children, and that's what they've been doing. That's why they've been run out of all the lands on the planet. Right? So he is basically more or less connected to them type of stuff, and that's why they had to resign. They had to give the self-breathing space to rip out. But there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, because, well, there are lots of other things connected. But basically, his resignation is loaded, very loaded.
Because why did I was troubled that they favored Kamala over the PNM in a sense, because she got more done. And what the people in Trinidad do not understand, that she or who they like literally kind of get more done. Not understanding that they're under these folks. It's a corporation.
Right. So right wing, left wing, same bird.
Yeah. So they're keeping and abusing him, not realizing that, in a sense, for blacks, especially, I strongly get it that the black male, how see what they do to what's his name, Manin?
Right.
The idea is to make them look poor because it's something for blacks that they're scared of, yes? And so they will trample them and make them look shitty and make everybody criticize them. Because it's just a sneaky piece of a game that they play with them there. Now, for Williams, he got away because he was a mixed man, and he made sure that all the Indians stay there. So it was a whole game. But anyway, you go ahead. You're on track.
Hold on 1 second, Honorable Chief. Hold on 1 second, please, Honorable Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, if you realize, Love in the House went to great extent to have such a man of character and honor here. Please return and show your appreciation by tapping up the screen. We have 29 people here, and we try our best at to bring you the information. I'm talking, sir. We do our best at Love in the House to bring you information from the sources. So please, if you appreciate this live and the chief being here, please show that by tapping your screen. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Mention.
I want to ask a question, and if I can sneak it in before mention. Please, yeah, brother. Chief, here is we have a man in Trinidad that say he is the one who originated that in Trinidad. He is the one who come up with all what you say in there, and he is the one responsible for gratifying the multitude of people in Trinidad who wants to know with this information. What says you?
I see you speaking to him right now.
this man is not, he claims to be somebody else. He claims he sends his people, they are in the chat right now, they are very disrespectful.
Wait, hold on. Wait, just now. 1 second. We could put everything to rest. Hold on, Mr. Mention. We could put everything to rest. Just mention who they saying is the person saying this information that I have, and I will just send it on Google and let them present who published the information, and you'd see my information published since 2018, and made them let them present what's the person name? Because if you're bringing that type of information, they need to identify themselves.
But it's not bad to be talking about, brother. We talking about
Now, I'm not dealing with anything Bantu or anything like that.
Black people,
we're not dealing with that right now, Mr. Mention.
Talk to the chief now. He's out. I have a complaint on the black, some black people.
All right.
Chief the fight.
Listen. Well, listen.
God, my master is here. I'm so happy my master is here. Ruff, ruff.
All right. We had to expect that kind of stuff, but what I'm saying is, it's simple. If you understand what I'm saying, if they so-called, you remember, this is not about talk, eh? It's about presenting the facts and the evidence. So you could go up on, just type in Google Chief Min Waab, and you'd see a Calameo document come up, right? You'd see the Calameo is 2022. If they pull up anything before that, I have it from 2018. I could send the link direct to the chat, or Chief Harkoof could send it to you. But I'm not dealing with any talk or anything like that. We're dealing with facts and evidence. So if they say they originated on this island, what I am talking about, then they need to present the evidence of such. Because our material is copyrighted. So it's just that.
Mention, we don't have time with that.
Right, I do have time to do that, and
you don't have time with that. The man telling you that we don't have time for that right now. The man have a couple of hours with us again. We don't have time with that. The man say you go send the link and then you go verify it and you go take it to court.
all right, what's the question on the license? I will answer that.
Chief, this way how you say we can come off of the system and come in get this one. Chief, you know them say them originate that?
Well, boy, I could tell you.
Chief, let's continue in the talk, please.
All right. Yeah, so basically the evidence there. So if they want, I just give them the information, type my name into Google, and they could pull up the evidence and they'd see everything. All right, so next question.
I try to be fair, even to those who hate me. Chief, he elevated the question to driver's license, because many Trinidadians might be interested to know how they could get out of that system, in the sense of you're speaking about some stuff about driving and having your car. How can a Trinidadian conquer that part of the system?
All right. Okay, first things first, you wouldn't be a Trinidadian. All right? And second things is you have to go through the process of vetting first before you could even carry around one of our cards. So there's a whole process. That's what I'm saying. So all who interested, all right, so say this now. We have Chief Harkoof in the box right now. Those of you who are interested to go to get more knowledge in terms of how we go about doing it, that's just a next step further. So you just get that information more personal. You could send your contacts to him and he would get the information to you. Easy like that. I didn't hear that just now. All right.
One question, please, Chief. I know if I can get the floor to ask a question for a second or two.
Yeah, he been asking. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chief. I don't know if you can explain to the panel the difference between a sovereign and a indigenous, and also if you could just give them a little bit of knowledge on the UCC codes and them.
Oh. All right, you sound like a brother who did some research. So, all right. As you would know, since they call it UCC, the UCC codes are so long they could wrap around this planet twice. So basically, to skim that is kind of not really possible. Also, the question I asked before with the sovereign and the indigenous, that is a real important thing. That's an important question. A sovereign, I could only use what their legal terminology say it means, right? And there are different definitions for it in their legal terminology, but basically it boils down to a sovereign is a being who has all self-autonomy, right? Just that. So anybody could become a sovereign once you fit the criterias, right? And indigenous now, indigenous is higher than sovereign, above sovereign, right? Or if you want to say true sovereignty is indigenous, right? So indigenous now, and I just be using the term loosely because that's what we're talking now, but an indigenous being is someone who has the blood right, so nobody can make him sovereign just because of how his blood has the genetic coding in it. He is already sovereign, so nobody can make him that. You're born with that from the time you have the phenotypical presentation, from the time you have the genetic looks, to keep it on a normal level. I don't want to use the medical words, right? From the time you have the genetic looks, meaning indigenous, meaning Niji, woolly head, copper tone, from the time you carry that, you are above sovereign, right? The difference is now that sovereigns is the ones who more or less pushing the information out there. But right now, because of that, a sovereign is listed as a terrorist under the U.S. State Department, right? Sovereign and sovereign citizens, because a sovereign citizen is a misnomer, the two can't match. Those titles are coded as terrorist titles, right? And that's because of the information they're putting out with it. Because any Tom, Dick, and Harry want to jump up and say they're sovereign because of this, that, and the other. When really and truly, you're walking around with a bird paper. Right?
So is it because your parents
sold you,
basically signed a contract and you become the stock, the bird paper become the bond,
right?
You become basically property of the state.
That's it is exactly why, and that's why it has to be reversed, right? You do a nong to prong, a then for now, because you was young and you didn't know better, and somebody chain up your mother and father, they went and sell you. Literally, I know people who collect $5,000, $2,500 for one child, $2,500 for one child upon the receipt of the birth paper. It is a receipt and that you were sold. Because of that, you have to reverse that. I love this analogy. When there is I'm going to ask a question here, right? When there is a girl who they considered under the legal age, is when the revelation is known that she sleep with somebody older than her, or than the age of consent, sleeps with her. When they are charged, there's a name that they call the charge. It's a S word. None of my tribe members do answer the question. Anybody know what the S word is?
Yeah.
Say it.
Sexual offender.
Nah. Next.
Sinister.
Can I try?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I try, Chief?
Yeah.
Does it have a F-I-C at the end? FICE?
Nah.
I didn't get the question.
When A guy sleeps with an underage girl. They charge him for for something. It start with a S word. Beautiful. Who said that?
Me, the host.
Right. Statutory rape. Now listen to this. Listen to this closely. He didn't sleep. He slept with a human being. Correct. Why are they charging him for rape in his state?
Great, yeah.
Everybody get that?
Yeah, because she
Because she have a bird paper.
have a bird paper.
Beautiful. So they don't care that there is no programs for rehabilitation for these girls, right? Them don't care about them. They care about he raped the state. Meanwhile, he didn't bore a hole in any building and put his private part in it or nothing like that, right? But he's being charged for something like that. That's just to show you that the state does not exist. Because where are you going to put the state? How did he rape the state? One. And because the state exists by way of your acquiescence or your acknowledgement to being a slave, that's what gives the slave power. So because she has a birth paper, because she was sold to them, they say you can't touch her past a certain age. You rape their rules, you rape their state. And that's what you're being charged with.
I know two people in the States that got money from the state for the birth paper rights. They sue them and they got the money, but the CIA is after them. But I guess
Right. I was now going to tell you, we don't do that type of stuff here at all. It is a con man games, and it usually flags the attention of their enforcement agencies.
But I'll tell you one thing, Chief.
Go ahead.
When I was incarcerated, I got my jaw broken for reading UCC commercial codes.
Well,
Yeah, they break my.
well, I use it to break their jaw if that would bring you any satisfaction.
Yeah, that gave me a lot of satisfaction.
Right?
And the next thing I noticed too, like the process of my appeal, right? Like when we say, you get stopped in Trinidad, you get pulled over, you're in your private car, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
This is a commercial car, you don't use it for no kind of work or nothing like that.
Private conveyance.
Yeah, private conveyance. When officers stop you and you relate,
They are not officers, they are constables. But go ahead.
constables. When these constables stop you and you relay this information to them, it's like you talking to a brick wall. They don't understand what you telling them.
I am glad you raised that point. Now, UCC is not to be used like that. That's why you would get your jaw break. That's why you would get a brick wall face when you start to speak it. It is not for that. Constables are court carriers, meaning their job is to carry you to their master. So, the knowledge that their master has, they do not have it. Hence the reason why they have to carry you to their master. I know on this island they act like there's debate and they end it all. But that is not the reality. After they act up that in the streets, they have to put you inside a cell and then take you to their master. Correct? They deliberately did not teach them anything beyond hold, protect, and serve. Right? So, hold on.
That don't lead to a conflict of interest in the court. Because if the state charging you, and then you have to go to court, and the judges are part of the state, and the state presiding over the matter, like, I don't understand it.
Right. You remember, you're missing one key point. He is a slave. Not because he's speaking UCC that change anything, you know. You are a slave. Once you have a birth paper active, you are a slave. You could speak, thy kingdom come. You are a slave. Right? So, there is a correct way to use the UCC, and that is why people get problems with it. As a matter of fact, the only people who could really use UCC to its full extent is the indigenous. Everybody else is free man on the land and straw man concept. still below indigenous. So there's a whole new topic. There's a whole different topic that I will fly over all people in this conversation head. So I don't want to go into too much depth with it, but it is to be utilized. If you want to know how to use it, just type in appellation on Google. The Calameo document will come up and you'll just read through it.
No, well, actually, that's why I got my start from learning into it, and it was from that document and all that.
Okay.
So let me understand.
Okay, well, you ain't complete the process yet, man.
Nah, incomplete.
All right, beautiful. Well, you could talk to Chief Alcove.
Yeah, man.
Okay, Chief, two questions. I have two backed-up questions, meaning I have a lot more, but I have these two waiting long. Do you want the two of them one time? Maybe we can shoot two birds with one stone, or do you want them one by one?
Well, depending on the nature of the question, if they're connected, we could shoot two birds with one stone, yeah?
All right, let me ask it in the order of receipt. Mr. Lawrence, this is from Mr. Lawrence in the chat. I'm paraphrasing because it's so far in the chat. I can't search it. I can't search it back so far.
Right.
But Mr. Lawrence question said something along the lines of, and I paraquote, you said that you defeated the queen, and because of this, your tribe receives certain benefits. Can you go into detail as to what those benefits are?
All right. So just to clarify for the purpose of the record, when I did not defeat the queen, because that's someone like we square off in a battle and we draw swords. That is not what I want to convey. I defeated the Krong in terms of the Krong rules and the Krong concept, because we found out and we made them out to be a fraud. So how that works is this. Same UCC we getting back into. On May the 12th, 2011, at Suffolk Crown Court, London, English Crown Court, Elizabeth II was proven to be a fraud before a jury, by a jury verdict. What that meant was that everything else that she touched is a fraud. So what you have to do, if people were smart, or if at the time Manning was smart, all they were supposed to do was distance or take the self out from under the fraud, because it's proven by her court that she was a fraud. Nobody who were calling themselves leaders at the time did anything of the sort. Right? We are the first people to use it as prima facie evidence to assert our autonomy unchallenged. That is what I'm saying. And because it is unchallenged, that is why our documents still stand up. That is why we get redress in court. I actually appear as a, what you would call, for lack of a better word, I will say it, for a lawful representative for tribe members and that type of stuff. That is why it's accepted in their courts. Because we can now present ourselves and present our information and move on without any liabilities, most importantly. So that is what happened. We destroyed the Krong fraudulent hold on our indigenous land, and it was published to the United Nations. It was published officially, and it was sent directly to the Krong, and it remains 2 years to date unrebutted. So this is how our tribe end up where, and it's not no special kickback from the Krong or nothing like that. We operating on our own autonomy, hence the reason why we could produce travel documents, we could produce stamps and seals, we could produce a governing body. We could do that because we have the autonomous power to do so. And it is also recognized or in accord with standing things that the corporation have already put up for themselves, such as the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People, and the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and the OAS and all them type of thing. They create these entities to play like the want to help the ones that they form a genocide against, and nobody know how to use their system until these information came forward, and that's what we want. That's what we beat them in. Then we presented the information unrebutted, so now we could present more things and nobody can challenge it because they have no way to go around it in court, basically. And since your courts are your highest order in your society, then we are above everything else. That make it more clear?
Okay. I don't know how to check his responses. The second question comes from Baldar.
All right.
When and how did you find out that you are a native?
That would be primary school. So what happened was I used to fight a lot in primary school. All right. I attended the brainwashing institution of Enterprise Government Primary School, and I got into a lot of fights. So one day my mother told me that if you come back home with your clothes bust up, I will beat you. So just like clockwork, I come back with it bust up. And she says, so wait now. So you ain't frightened I beat you? And I told her, well, no, because I fed up at them calling me half-breed. Now understand this. Long time when you have wave and thing in your hair, that was seen as a style and thing. Right? But back in the times when I was going to school, they used to think that he is a half-breed. So we used to play something called karate stoops. Right? And if he is not a big, black, strong nigger, according to local parlance, you can't kick down a next big, black, strong nigger. So I was real short and that type of thing. So I was kind of sneaky and real subtle. So I used to always be kicking down the biggest and the strongest. So the rules was once you stoop down, nobody can attack you. But after I stoop down and after I kick him down, it turned into a fight. So that's how I end up with my shirt bust up the day I was warned not to do it. And so she asked me, well, why? I said, because he called me half-breed. You understand? And she said, but you stupid, that what you fighting for? You understand? I said, well, yeah. She said, so you don't know you're Caribbean here? I said, oh. You understand? She said, that what the people is called that. She said, that's why you're here like that. You're Caribbean. And well, needless to say, the fighting didn't stop, but I was fighting with a new identity. So since then, I was told that I was Carib. Only now we come to know that is a misnomer. It's actually Galibi. So, and Galibis are part of the larger Arawakai tribe, and because the families was getting big, they branched off and got different names and that type of thing. So I was very long time ago aware of my indigenous blood. But everyone have their journey, and I had to go through a journey. I had to get certain information, come across certain information, go through certain schools, and that took me to where I am at now. So, but from very early on, I was about 7 or 8 when my mother told me that directly. And then later on, I met my great aunts and them who still up on this side and who told me that they don't know nothing about no slavery. They never hear nothing about slavery. They was always in the bush. The great grandmother tell them they was always there, and that's how the story run. So they'd have people on this island know nothing about slavery, never hear nothing about quote unquote African slavery. We do have on record quote unquote Indian slavery, and we're not talking about past 1845. We're talking about pre-1845. They adopted the name Indian. Prior to 1950, that place was called Hindustan. The correct name for that group of people is Hindus. So I'm not speaking about them. We were the first to be called Indians on this land. So we have a rich history running out here. So I was told that at a youth man age, and since, well, obviously that kind of groomed who I am today. And yeah, that's basically it.
So may I ask a question now?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, man.
Go ahead. If the brother
I just wanted to know if it's safe to say that they're Afro-American Indians.
Afro is a hairstyle, darling. Right?
I understand that, but they call themselves Afro India or Hindu Indians. Indo Afro Indians, the Afro is in there. I don't know if it's related to the hair. We want to call them Douglas? So then Dinka is the right word. I didn't know if you would have liked that choice of word Dinka.
Everywhere don't you understand this man? You haven't been listening to the chief, not this chief. My apologies, King. My lord, I'm sorry. The chief has made it clear who he is, and so clearly he shows you that your Dinka and Bantu concept is not his. He is native, and so we must understand.
Yes, I heard a little bit of that. Yes.
All right. Next question.
I have to scroll back up. There's a whole lot. So go ahead and talk, Chief. I'm going back up the list.
All right.
Just for clarity, because I understand that you have identified your direct tribe, but for some reason I'm still getting. I be on the right page, but then here comes some glitch in the matrix. Okay, so I understand that you have identified your direct tribe.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not going to ask this question no more. You know I must want to know for my own constitution about who I am. This is why all right. So I have to understand that even though you know your direct tribe, I just want it to be clear, as it is with me, that you understand that all people of color is related through. That's not your tribe bloodline, but the indigenous Indians bloodline.
All right. Oh, you finished?
I am, because see, I see similarities in who me and my family is based on your tribal tradition.
So,
but at the same time, it's not like I'm swaying from another ideology. I've always lived the way kind of your tribal tradition, and so is my grandparents, and that's how we lived. But we're listening to other people chime in, Chief. It sounds like I'm understanding something that nobody else is like seeming that's in chiming in is understanding, and that's the part that's confusing me.
Okay.
It's like I'm feeling very clear, but I don't know if nobody else is feeling clear like me.
No.
Clear, sister, they're shocked.
So, I could.
Shocked, they're speechless.
Sorry, what has happened, ladies and gentlemen, as I predicted, but nobody listens to me, many of the questions have gone because they've been there so long. Can you resend? Thanks.
All right. Just to answer what this is, the question that confusing his sister a bit. Now, I didn't go into it because I don't want to confuse people, right? Seeing that this is the first time I'm having a meeting with you all. But basically, you are correct. But we need to put it in proper chronological perspective. Because I could carry you to the Dogons in Mali and you'd see a feather culture there as well. But people think that we adopt it from them, and where there are very many ways we could prove them wrong, and it's actually the other way around. We established our culture in the Americas first, and then went to the Alkebulan and set up there. And that's why certain cultures still carry feather cultures and all that type of stuff. However, to the point that he was making that we connected, there is another bloodline that is related to us that has other practices that also dominate what they call Africa, right? That is not our culture or our teachings. And these are the beings, or these are the ones who promulgated this type of blood drinking culture coming straight up to today. There are certain tribes in Africa that drink blood and that type of stuff. So these are the ones that were pushing these certain bloodletting rituals and all that type of thing. They were pushing that across the planet. But it's not that we're not related, it's that we are distantly related over a chronological period, right? And coming to now times, we are very much different as much as we are alike. So you could find some people there that look like some people here, but if you observe them, basically, if someone from the continent comes to the north without they saying anything, you could observe that they're different to you. And likewise, they having problem right now on Al-Kabulan with those of you who went across for the year return 2019, and there's a whole heap of bacchanal, and they keep calling them foreigners because they could see the difference between us and them. Not that we are not related, so get me. But the relation that plenty people like to refer to is not a yesterday relation. That relation was quite when the earth was one. Right? So after that, and it's separated, and we perfected, like in Ohio right now, you'd see a Sphinx there, you would see the Waco lines, you'd see, I could call a whole heap of things in North America alone. If I touch the South, it will some advantage us, because the oldest pyramid is in South America, the largest pyramid is in South America. So we don't really, I don't like to draw the reference for competition, but if they want to pull Arsenal, we have all that there. What I'm saying is we perfected that culture here first, and then we made the theme park called Egypt today. Right, and align it with our ancestors from the Orion star system, how much thousands of BC and wherever. But basically, our connection to them as part of our bloodline is more ancient than recent. Right, so we are related, very old relations, but we are very different. So they look like us, but they're not us. Right? You don't get up every day feeling to drink blood and rape a little child when it's in its most frightened state. That is not a normal operation. But there are some people who does an everyday operation for them. That is why you could have a man with how much liquid tons of baby oil and them type of stuff, because that is a culture that's been ancient, promoted from since time was time. Right? To chase it all back to Babylon, we could go all there, but we don't have the time for that. But this is the relation with us to them. And right now, we really can't share a space with each other based on plenty differences in terms of cultural upbringing. Right? And so this is the relation. So I'm not separating, although I like to separate it because we were sold a totally different story. So I keep separated when I'm doing this in terms of teaching. But we are connected, but that was it's an old connection and not no transatlantic connection. And those of you who are above 40 would know that before they call it the transatlantic slave trade, it was called the Middle Passage.
Yep, that's what it was.
Right? They were not speaking, they were not speaking about the Middle Passage taking up people from Africa and bringing them here. They were speaking about, okay, I would give some people some homework and probably I'll come back and we could expound on that. Go into the records in places like Montserrat, places like Chimaka, Jamaica, places like here as well. And you would see in their records, they were taking indigenous people from Ireland, some short people like we like to refer to as midget. Right? Short, woolly head, indigenous from Europe. Europe. Anybody ever hear about black nobility? I guess not. But what happened is we are indigenous to the whole planet. That is basically what I'm saying. And the Middle Passage was empty in Europe when they was run out of Africa for the dirty ways. They started exporting people and them from Ireland and carry them to places like Montserrat, Chimaka, and Kairi. It is on record, and that was the Middle Passage. That is when they was dumping people off in the ocean from off of disease and all. They was taking people from Europe and bringing them to the Caribbean. Right? The story was basically told in reverse. You could go check out men like Dane Calloway who go more into the depth with the North American part here. So all the information is out there. We are related but distant relatives, basically, right? Who have total different concepts and ways of bringing and different ways of life, right? And different genetics. That is very possible. Right. Right. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Do that.
That's where that come from. And those of you in the north, your grandmother been telling you, you got a little Indian in you. You know that, right? You got a little Indian in you. They was not speaking about Hindu. They're speaking about the American, so-called American Niji, the Tamari Niji. Right. Right. So,
And I'm glad that it was passed down to me.
Even the Aborigines from Australia.
right. The Aborigines is what the brother was talking about from the Ice Age. Those who came in and crossed over from the Bering Strait and mixed with the old Olmecs. And that's why some of them have that change in hairstyle and different slant eyes and that type of stuff. They walk all the way down the Yucatan Peninsula. Right? And so you have some Mexico, Mehi. Right? You have all of them there who will mix with that. If you go to the remote parts of Mexico or Mexico, you would see people looking just like me and you. Right? Tres Zapotes is in Mexico where they find the Olmec heads. All the Olmec heads was found in Mexico. We now find one here. Right? So there was a whole Olmec, so quote-unquote civilization that permeated the planet. Because if there's a head in La Venta and Tres Zapotes, and we have a head right up here on this island, right?
Wow, is that right?
It's more than right. We're just waiting a little bit to deal with the area properly, and because we have to secure it, and we have to get it copyrighted in terms of the picturesque form of it, right? So we don't want nobody operating our paraphernalia and we not benefited. Days for that gone. We know the legal how now, or the lawful how. So nobody not benefiting off of indigenous paraphernalia for free. Right? So all these things need to be protected, and that's why we release that type of information yet to the public. But we intend to destroy their narrative totally. Pan-Africanism is dead. It has been buried. I forget the date and the time, but it's about rotting right now. Right? So we have a lot of evidence to bring forward. I've recently been privy to some unearthed figurines in the area of the Battle Arena. We are about to go see them on weekend, and there are a lot of things happening that's just coming forward because we're in the age of information, and the ancestors them speaking from the beyond, and the truth must be told and the record must be set straight. Next question.
Well, do you know, can you give me any information, Chief, maybe where the Blackfoot Indian comes from?
Blackfoot. All right. So I do like to take so there are other chiefs in the north who have that information and well equipped with it, and I do like to speak outside of my location because I like to give the other chiefs the opportunity to carry the narrative and raise the people. So if you want to know where the Blackfoot Indians came from, go check out Dane Calloway on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway on YouTube. Him and his wife, they do a lot of research. They pull up a lot of records. They have a lot of census office records too, where we were listed with I. So you'd see if your name was Pretty Bird. If your name was Pretty Bird, you'd see Pretty Bird. Under race, you'd see I. Indian. Not black, not colored, not nothing like that. You'd see I. And then when the Dawes rules came into effect under Walter Plecker in 1924, they changed over all of that and started labeling people as Negro and then to black and then black American. And oh, by the way, when you're all doing things like lives and things like these, it's important that you use the correct terminology for these things, because platforms like these could be used against you. I don't know in courts in the US, but English court Facebook, they're locking up people in England for Facebook, right? So you would want to correct your terminology so you don't call yourself black. According to the law, black has no standing at law. Black is a dead entity. Black is nothing. And it's not that when we're on the streets, we could say whatever we want because we know what we're talking about. But when we presenting information and we're on a platform that we don't own, because I doubt anyone here owns TikTok, right? So since we don't own that, we just need to be kind of circumspect in how we addressing ourselves. It's because we acquiesce to certain names is why we don't have our authority and autonomy. We acquiesce to black and poor people and the masses and grassroots and all that type of term when we are not none of them. We the richest motherfuckers on the planet.
That's right. I hear you. So, Tik, you touched on something when you said that black is dead. There's I don't know if maybe you wouldn't want to go there with me with the black. Is it because of the diet? Because black is dead, and they label these people as black.
It has to do with the Dred Scott decision of 1856. In 1856, Justice Taney ruled that there is no rights that a black man has that a white man is bound to respect. And it was a Supreme Court ruling, and it has not to date been overturned. So from the time you say black in any official capacity, you are addressing yourself as someone who's dead and who has no rights according to their law. This is not according to the streets or what we know. We're dealing with the system that you are slave to and what they view it as. So from the time you identify as black, you are nothing, you have no standing at law, and so therefore no rights. You're a dead entity. Same thing as a citizen. Right? If you go into the terminologies that they use, certain things like passport. A passport is for a cadaver. A cadaver is a dead body. Right? So all these terminologies they use is to make you in terms of vibration. When you speak, I'm reaching you via vibration and tone and frequency. Same to do with words. So if you keep running them vibration, tones and frequency, remember everything vibrates and everything is a result of vibration. So you keep calling yourself black, and in the place that you exist in, it has a negative conotone. Guess what? You're going to pick up that vibration. Right? So that's why we keep very clear of our identity. When you're referring to this island in its capacity, please say Kairi, is not order. If you're referring to Alubera, please say Alubera, not Tobago, and that type of stuff. So we rewrite the wrongs that they wronged us. If that makes sense. So you're doing it consciously, so it has a subconscious effect. Make sense?
Man, it makes all the sense on earth. All the sense on earth, sir.
Beautiful.
All the sense on earth. Wow. I happen to come from a family who, my father and his first cousins, they were able to collect checks from this government just based on their bloodline. So I understand so much that you are teaching, but I've always been like kind of moving in that direction in my lifestyle, but I did it as a solo. So I'm sorry, Jack. This right here, for me and I hope for many others, is not just bringing new information, but clarifying things that we know about ourselves already. So now, that's what I got to say.
I appreciate love.
I just want to talk about Trinidad and the land and the folks that were borrowed and came there because of a so-called power. The land that they received and the businesses that they're doing on this land. What are we going to do? It's time for to give up the land or give up some of the money. They have to take it. What are we going to do, Chief?
So,
because we saddle up and we're ready. You have a few of us. I don't know how well you know because TikTok is watching us,
So that's why this is why every time it reached to that question, I refer you to carry the information to the Chief Akuf, and we could speak on a proper platform, and he could get proper information, in-depth information as to what would make us tick or what causing us to tick. Right? So you could contact Chief Akuf and make your contact available, and we could make some moves, because that's what knowledge is. Knowledge is a verb, it's not noun. Right? So once you have knowledge, it means that you're doing something to prove that you have this knowledge. Right? So okay.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, host.
All right. Any other eh, any other questions?
I'm only having some negative questions, and I don't know how, if you are prepared.
Go ahead. Questions is questions. Once it's not deviating and going into any stupidity, go ahead.
All right. One of the things that could answer many of the questions on that side is if you could ask the host to bring up some of what you're talking about, whether on YouTube or anything. Can you direct my host? You'll put it on his camera, and this will dispel a lot of the comments that I am seeing.
All right. What sort of information you need to put on camera?
Yeah, well, I think we should put up.
Anything about you, your tribe,
Let me just step in, if I can. Let me just step in for a second, kind of guide, you know what I mean, the platform in a sensible direction. So I think they would like to see information, you know, that will open the eyes to, like, maybe how you avoid the cooperation to some aspect, maybe a calumny or declaration, or some kind of information like that, where they could, you know what I mean?
Go ahead and put it up. Go ahead and send it. Furnish the host with it now, Akuf.
No, well, the one, I need a computer service. So
All right, I'm sending it to you now.
somebody gave me a team now to send it to your host now.
All
all
right.
you have to do is just give us a name, and my host will type it up.
All right. Type in.
You'll put it on this.
Just type in Chief Min Waab on Google, and the document that comes up with Calameo, CALAMEO, you just click on it and you could share it with everybody. It's there for the public. It's been published, so it's there for public scrutiny.
Chief, Master, you getting that? Love in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
You get the spelling?
No, that's how it did it, no? Google it, that's how it. All right, it's up. Right, Chief what?
NAN.
Just put it in the comment section.
All right.
Right.
You ready, my boss?
That's all it. Of Trinidad, right. That's all right.
No, I was going to spell it for you, Chief.
No, I got it.
Okay.
That's how it is. Alright, okay. That's a good one. Let's go. Wow. Cacique Min Waab declaration, that one, alright?
Yes.
Only declaration.
Yes.
Alright. See in there?
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
I see that. Alright, what you want me to do here now?
Can you read some of it for us? Or the
Read.
description?
Start with the front page. That pink.
That legal documents.
No, go back up. There's one with the pink page on it. You start with the pink page. It's called an AR card.
Nice, yeah.
Yes, right there. You gotta go and read publication. Yeah. Right. Read out the card what it says.
Mr. Anthony
Gutierrez.
Guterres, Secretary General, United Nations.
All right. Oh, and if you notice for the record, that's a TT post. It's a TT post receipt is in there, right? All right.
Your receipt, everything here.
Right.
Your address, everything here.
All right.
Alright, I do one. Go back.
Read out the
Next document.
read out the yeah. Now read out the pink card now. It says something on the front that is important.
Yeah, this one, yes, sir.
Yeah, the pink one itself, it says who received it,
Chief.
right? And where is it going to? You seen a New York stamp on the top, right?
Yeah.
And the United Nations headquarters is where? It would be in New York. Sorry, I know that is not common information.
Stamp on return. Everybody seeing it there?
Yeah, just make sure, because this is now receipts, so you have to make sure everybody make a shot at the proof so we could dispel all.
The thing is about it, Chief, I believe this is kind of, if it is there, they need to just write down the website and go to look at it. Everybody have internet. I don't think we should go through this.
Yeah, it's about 70 something pages.
The information is there.
But all right, fast forward.
There's now you have some negative people in the comment section.
Fast forward it.
You see those study negative people, you give the information.
But you must want to answer the question. You must want to answer the question. So this is what
my house.
Yeah.
But my house. So just like how no one did listen to me and I lost all the questions. I'm asking why I have a reason for it, sir. So that's why I'm saying if you just read a little bit of it, because what it does, it dispels the narrative that this is not real. You understand? So if you even read just
alone, this piece of document here shows it registers. So who want to add to it? Let me go and look at it. Because this is real information to go through. Is on what pages you have.
All right, I could do all your favor. Wait. One.
Yeah, this will take up.
All right, I got a good question for the chief. Finally, from the comments. All right, they say this. I quote from Aria. Can outsiders join?
Outsiders is a broad term, but basically you would be outside the tribe. But once you, first things first, I just didn't want to put this out in the public domain. If you're not vaccinated, you're starting from a good place. Not that if you're vaccinated, your life doomed. Alright? All right, wait. Pause right there. Pause right there where the watermark starts, and that would just answer the questions where we void it there. You'd see the void. Where the water? No, the next side. Next side. Right. You see where that watermark start? That flag watermark start in the document. Now, no, that is seal. That is the notary seal. But screw. Alright, our flag in the background on the document, the starting away it's right. On top there, you could just read that little part where it void Trinidad and Tobago government because of what and what. Go ahead.
You're here?
No, put your finger lower down. No, lower down. Come down. Come down, come down. Right there. Right.
This is to ensure.
Go ahead, read.
Well, this ensures by the region.
Nah, go back for what you did. Go back 2 lines higher.
Alright, let me come from here. The American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And had the page to download to get the information. As I click on it there. And the UN International Decade of People of African Descent, Self-Determination, again all the information here. This is mandated by Pope Francis I. Apology to the indigenous people of America. Pope Francis I, first statement. Right there, the information is there.
I just wanted you to get to the part where the voiding take place. It's just underneath that.
Right. This is mandated by Pope.
Sorry, my host. I know you're upset, but yes, we're still educating people, my host. So just
Yeah, but what I'm saying, in this type of instance, it has a website. So the people who are really interested will go. The people who are asking questions to pause the information that is going through. That is what we're trying to avoid. This is evidence here. This is facts. It's sealed. You give the evidence, and if a person really interested, they will go and read about it. You understand what I'm saying, yeah, man?
yes, sir.
Yeah, this is hardcore evidence here. If you see the links you have to press, if I press that there, it goes to a link. It everything explaining on it there. So the ones who are asking the questions, they need to go into this.
But host,
Because you can't really have a sealed thing with this type of information. This is facts.
Will you be patient with me, my host?
Yeah?
Can we read even just quarter of a page or half of a page, please, for me?
just read the line.
Some of them,
Yeah, just read the.
some of them live in a bush house and they don't have no internet, but they can't tell me.
But they're on TikTok.
Or their friend phone.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, man, me going through that. My eyes hurting me.
All right, my boss. All right.
Going through that. Who want to learn will take the information from the chief and go forward. This is not a forcing people. You understand what I'm saying, yeah, man? This is enough information for a person like us who is a native will go and look into this and find out more of my rights and meet the chief and from there.
Yes,
You understand
sir.
what I'm
Yes, sir.
have information that we could hear, more information. If you see information in this, I mean, come on.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to say to some of the persons in the chat who did not believe that this was legitimate, I think that proof has been provided, or you have now something that you can research. So I just wanted that to be clear that we did not. This is not a fraud, and the house does not participate in any type of fraud. This is actual and genuine. So thank you.
All right, next question. I think I seen a question here because I now pull back up my laptop. So I seen here, Ari Ramki soon. Other than the history, what inspired me to start the tribe? That's a real nice question because basically what was happening was I can't really, I don't want to say that out here, but I was heading down a real dark path because of the injustices that I saw taking place. And then my chief, the big chief, the one responsible for dispelling certain information, to me, is what made me wake up to the point that we do have to take certain routes to fight back. The battle was between the pen and the paper. And so his teachings, Chief Thunderbird Black Eagle, is the one who literally gave me the extra spark to reach where I'm going now. the template for a lot of things that we do is originally his. I am proud to say that I am a very good plagiarizer where that is concerned, because he did that for us to follow in case anything had happened to him, so we could restore our birthright on the land, restore the matriarchs them to the proper position. And so all these things in a nutshell is what made me push forward. I couldn't see no other way. I had reached the limits and it was all or nothing. So, and having an identity helps a lot, and that's what caused like the crime on the island. Is because people lack the identity is why they see someone looking like themselves and kill them, when really and truly all they're doing is killing out the opposition to the invaders and the colonizers. So basically that was part of my motivation. And then more so when I got kidnapped by the state and the commissioner of prisons came down personally, the first time in the history of people in the prison who was there up 31 years in the prison, the first time the ever city commissioner come down to meet a prisoner, that gave me the extra push, because I know I was hitting the nail on its head. Otherwise, they wouldn't respond as brutal as they did. So these are some of the things that motivated me. And other than that, I have some real powerful women in my life. So that is another motivator too. But yes, I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. But then a lot of people, but then supposed to know this. The foreign government will tell everybody, China, look at it, turn back toward land. So what the chief, well, he have a right to call himself chief. He did the test. He went on his journey and he went and find his heritage, and he is back here. He have a right to claim chief of Trinidad.
Nah, I wouldn't. All right, so I am not the chief of Trinidad.
People can join, but if they don't join, let me say if you alone join.
1 second there. Could I interject? Could I interject, Mr. Mention?
Yeah.
I am not the chief of Trinidad. I am the chief of Kairi and Alu. Right, I am the chief of Kairi and Alubera. Seen?
Right.
All right.
That's right.
No, Kairi is the name of this land.
So if nobody else join,
Go.
be the match land.
Right, so Kairi is the name, or the original name our ancestors call here, and Alubera is the original name our ancestors call, what they call in Tobago. So I am the chief of Kairi and Alubera, not Trinidad. I have nothing to do with Trinidad. Trinidad is a dead defunct corporation.
So you're not using that name. So you're the chief of Kariri, right? Which is newly called Trinidad. Right. So if nobody else didn't take this information, guess what? You get to be the only chief. So what happens to this Arawak man who's riding on a horse? He's not a man, right?
Nah, I know him personally.
Talking about the one in South.
Yeah, I know him, Eric. I know him personally. He's a good colleague of mine, but his approach is quite different. They're still into Trinidad and that type of stuff, and because I just had to put it that way, because I probably ended up on the helm of things. They not into that, so they trying other ways to make themselves known. But I not fighting me and him to talk, so I'm not fighting or anything like that. If that's how we want to bring, he say he was doing it to bring attention to the indigenous people, and that is that. I corrected him many times on claiming what he's claiming, and we had an agreement, we had a laugh about it, but it's not no problem with me. I am what I am because of what I did, and not because of me trying to be anything or anything like that. I literally have the blood flowing through my veins, and then I did the work. So those of them who talking about being chief over Trinidad and think they lose the concept, and that's why I had to put the video out to put a disclaimer up for that, because indigenous people have nothing to do with Trinidad or Tobago. We have everything to do with Kairi and Alubera. So When they realized, or him, Barrett as well, I went to speak to Barrett and he run from me, literally jump in his van and drive off, because Barrett is a, what you call, a NGO, GO. He's a non-government organization, governmental organization. So in other words, he's taking fiat currency from the government for them to propose or to pose as if they're helping indigenous people, when in fact and in truth, Bharat is the Hindi word for brother in Hindustan. A Hindu could never be a chief or nothing on this island. He could be a chief of Trinidad and Tobago, by all means, but that has nothing to do with the indigenous people. Furthermore, the name of his group is called the Santa Rosa First People. I guarantee you, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, that indigenous people do know nothing about no fucking saint. So we would not be the first people coming out on no Saint Rose teaching. Right? So it's a bag of what you call noise that they use to distract people from the truth. Right? So Santa Rosa could have never have no first peoples. They mean the first people that come out of the Santa Rosa brainwashing under the Capuchin monks. That is what they mean. Right? And furthermore, a Hindu cannot be a chief on this island. Or when it comes to Kairi, he could be a chief of Trinidad and Tobago to do what they want with Trinidad and Tobago. I am not concerned. So that's addressed the two prominent ones that people might know. There are others who now catching up to information and trying to do their own thing. I commend them. But at the end of the day, you take all the resources and you scatter them about, you wouldn't probably get the result as if you back one engine and you push it through, because we already tried and proven. So it's just a matter.
So he is hailing on a horse from right before Christopher Columbus, and you hailing off of a ship or off of a continent.
I know healing off of no ship or no.
He say his ancestors hailing from before Christopher Columbus, which you could trace some of them to be next door neighbor.
Right.
Right? Because of the linguistics, they speak a different
language.
Okay. So they hailing from right before Christopher Columbus, and so their history we can trace through what he's saying there. You say you hailing from the continent of Africa, or from slavery of our people that reached down here?
Nah, my brethren, you wasn't paying attention.
Wait, pause now, I didn't check. Where you was for the last hour, bro, for the last hour and a half. Come on, let me get real. Next question, bro. Even waste your time and answer that. If you had answered that, it clearly states he was not paying attention for the since 11 o'clock. My time.
All right.
Come on, man.
All right, I have a question for you, Chief.
Go ahead.
Please, can you tell us how has society reacted towards the development and progress of your tribe?
I was about to get that question. Thanks for going on to it. In 2017, late 2017, I came across the information of Elizabeth being a fraud. In 2018, the 5th of November, date naturally picked by myself because of what it meant to the English Corporation. On November the 5th, 2018, I removed myself from the corporation via the defunction of my birth paper using the statutory declaration. And when that happened, I was like a little child in a candy store, so to speak, and I was kind of green at the time and very uncouth, to put it in simple terms. So I was out on a rampage, telling everybody this, telling everybody that, and naturally I was called a madman. My father, who was a retired inspector or something on that level, when I told him the information, well, since then he stopped speaking to me, because like old school police different from nowadays police. They was into this whole thing for country and king and queen and all that type of stuff, so they have a chip on the shoulder for the queen. So he stopped speaking to me. My mother, she's very religious, although she tell me about my roots. She is quite she not against the whole indigenous thing, but she does not like that I'm not worshiping Jesus. And I say fuck Jesus, and she knows that very well. So the acceptance is kind of mixed. I kind of really not, and but my back kind of real thick, so people talk and things don't really phase me that much. It don't really affect me that much. But the acceptance was 70-30, 70 being more negative, and the 30% would have been the people who was around me on my journey and that type of stuff, and know that I was heading somewhere and we were bound to hit the mark at some point. And when I hit the mark, well, we had 30% support, but 70% was I was a madman. And then COVID came, right? And then I became, well, I don't know, they say all kind of things. They say I in orbit, they say I is Jesus, they say I is not no Jesus. I don't claim to be no Messiah. I don't claim to be no savior, although what I do save people. All I claim to be is a chief. A chief has a serious responsibility. It's not a rank, it's not nothing, it's just plenty work and responsibility. So the acceptance was, although I'm aware the 70-30 is neither here or there with me. My mission is to set the record straight and to get setting the record straight is getting the right narrative out there. So the acceptance was 70-30, and well, now is basically 60-40 in favor of us.
Thank you very much, Chief. One more question. Please don't be offended by it, but it's a real question. Are people in your tribe allowed to have more than one wife?
It's not a matter of allowance. It's a matter of common sense. It's a matter of scientific reasoning.
All right, good night to the panel.
Hold on, say Nick. Chief, that didn't answer the question. Can you
Oh,
expound,
okay.
yes or no?
Okay, all right. So the question was phrased differently. So, I kind of like more or less not programmed like everybody else. So allowed is not a word we would use, right? It is scientifically sensible for a man to procreate with more than one female.
Yeah, man, can I marry you, please?
That requires a whole lot prerequisition, darling. Send the information to Haku. I send all information to Chief Haku. We will sort out what we are attending to and what we not attending to.
No, it wasn't me that asked the question. It came from the comments. It wasn't me. It was from the comments. So I'd like to ask my first personal question.
Yeah, man, let me ask one before you go now.
Okay.
I just had three quick questions. Good night, Hummingbird. I hope all is well on your side. The first question is this. See that you're the chief of this land, this island. A chief must have system in place to protect his people.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find your national security system set up?
All right. National security is a mimic of indigenous security. So it's no national security. Right? Indigenous people have the right to defend themselves. They have the right to bear arms. I could sell a nuclear warhead to Putin and nobody can dig no horrors about that. They could dig horrors, but they can't do nothing about it. So basically, hold on, I ain't finished. So basically, when you stand as indigenous, there are things in the cooperation that you can operate alongside or in accord with. One of those things is indigenous people have a right to their own security. How our security is set up, I will not explain that to you in case you are assassin trying to kill me. Right? But we have our security. It is not the Ministry of National Security, or it is not styled that way. Right? Had it been styled that way, we'd be suffering the same problem you and many other slaves are suffering under the corporation. Right? But basically, our security system is tribal. Right? There is a security system in place, if that's what you're asking indirectly.
All right, beautiful. All right. Well, obviously, because you're a chief, and not over Trinidad and Tobago, but I can't pronounce the name you pronounce. So, what do you all use as fiat, as currency? Because definitely you don't use no foreign country fiat.
All right.
So if you have to go down to, you have to go to San Fernando, or what currency do you use?
All right. So I could tell by that question that you just came in, right? We have our commercial operation is the Kairi and Alubera indigenous people. that allows us to do anything that you could do on your everyday operation, right? Meanwhile, still protecting your indigenous autonomy, and meanwhile, where you whatever you're doing is not in support or giving extra life to the defunct corporation Trinidad and Tobago on our lands. So yes, we use fiat currency because that is the system. When I became the chief, that is the system we came and meet. And if we're not doing nothing by violence, we obviously had to do it systematically. My one promise I had to promise the matriarch was that we do all of this without a single shot being fired. Right? So far, so good. So we use fiat currency, and in our own operations, we do what you call battery trade. I am going to give you a little hint, but this is not to go into anything further because I'm not revealing that information here. But soon, the most prominent goal that would be using around here, it would be coming from us.
And that is it right there. Okay, no problem. So, what you're saying is because, I cannot dummy, everybody know sitting in kind of jeopardy. So to break it down, before you take over the system, you have to...
No, pause, take all the pop in. I am not taking over nothing. Trinidad and Tobago and its system is dead, obsolete, crash, fucked out, wherever you want to describe it as. I am not taking over nothing. Right, because guess what? The majority of y'all support them, and we are in the minority, even though the majority is bloodline linked to us, or bloodline linked to the freedom, however you want to put it. So since you're all supporting all of them, that remains the mode of operation on the island.
So which means it's not dead economically, because that would just make no sense what you said before if it's dead.
All right. Hold on.
Economically, we do still export oil and gas. I didn't see your currency or your fiat there, which means the economy is still alive. Not so?
No.
Explain, sir.
Right. So you're going into politics and are aware that a lot of you have, not to be disrespectful or anything, but a lot of you have bad education on politics. Politics operating in terms of fiat currency and all that type of stuff. Let me ask you this question. Does Trinidad and Tobago government print any money on this island?
What the central bank does do?
Brethren, that wasn't my question. Is either you know it or you don't know it. All right. So I don't want to step out of my capacity. I'm not doing this with anyone.
Right. So before you go there, let me say this. You made a statement, and I just want to be clear, I'm not any come to fight. You said that the corporation known as Trinidad and Tobago is dead. Now, anybody who have an ounce of financial sense will say, brother, with all the chief respect, you're blinking mad. Because we still export oil and gas, and we trade with other countries, with foreign currency, with the Trinidad and Tobago dollar. Now, until your fiat come into existence, you can't call something else dead. Because if you have to go pour a spin in the morning, you got to find out $20 Trinidad fiat. So
all right.
My question again is, do you intend to use this system until you overthrow the system and bring your own fiat in place? That was it.
All right, and just like I told you, I am not taking over anything. Those systems that you speak of, very soon you'll see the evidence of what I'm speaking of. If you pay attention to the financial system, if you want to go to financial system, the financial system is in bailout, and the debt that Trinidad and Tobago Corporation is tied to, right, is in its, what you call, the bubble has burst, right? So very soon you're going to see what I'm speaking of in terms of bank bailout, and they can't get your money from the ATM and that type of stuff. So getting that you into that corporate mindset, what we're dealing with is not taking over no corporate mindset or fiat or introducing fiat to run no commerce around the world. That is not the concept, right? Hold on, you had it 5 minutes, hold on. Don't switch the goalposts, they're not doing that. Hold on. Well, right, and this is what I'm saying. You started your question very broad, and now that a tiny take, you want to run out the goalpost. Hold on. It is very broad because guess what? We're talking about a financial, hold on, we're talking about a financial system that doesn't print its own money, that is not even on the island, that is somewhere else. And you judging what happening here based on what happening here, not knowing that it is governed by something outside of here. Right?
Still have to use the travel and police pin in the morning.
And which I explained to you that because we wake up recently and there's invaders operating on our land, we're not removing them. The only way to remove them without any violence is by paper. You're not going to do that in 2 years. You're not going to do that in 15 years.
Do you have a plan to remove the present system?
Brethren, I am saying to you, without your knowledge and without things that you're privy to, this system is already done. All right, let me ask you this. Hold on. You doing the asking, let me do the asking now. All right, so did not tell you that you're independent, that Trinidad and Tobago is independent?
Yes.
Right. What is the highest court of appeal for Trinidad and Tobago Corporation?
You still have to go to the Queen's Council.
Right. So you still have to go to somebody else. I asked you the question about the money just now. So clearly what you claiming is in operation. You're speaking about operation here, and I'm speaking about a holistic thing that governs even right here. You just have to wait a little bit a while and you would see what I'm talking about in terms of it being actually dead. For now, we're using what we came and meet. We're using what we woke up and met. And that is only sensible. Other than that, you have to kick it down by force and replace it with something else. We're not doing that. It's already dead.
Which leads me to another question. How long should Tobago claim to be an independent country? How long now?
The Republican would be running from 1976 and the independent constitution would be running from 1962. So you'd have 60.
Where's the relevance? You don't tell it here. Where's the relevance? I mean, you just know some region might relax. Yes, sir. Where's the relevance? Because you're going down a direction and I'm making no sense. I want to know where's the relevance. How many please tell me, brother, calm down. Yes, sir. So, how long is the relevance, bro? 68 years, bro. 68 years. 68 years. Well, like who? Right, so secret sense, you know. But hold on, you understand? Dependent mean you're able to say about yourself. Independent mean that you depend on other people. It's simple. Right. Thank you, John Doe. So 68 years, right? So how many years? So 68 years of old crazy men with some constitutional minds trying to get away from the Queen's Council and all them kind of thing. I don't know how old are you, but they set up an archaic system in place that we're not even independent. We depend on other people still. For the past 68 years, with guns, ammunition, all the things that makes a nation, we have all of that. And still, we can't get away from the independent. We're still dependent.
Wait. Let him finish. Wait. Let him finish, please. Wait, I will address all of that, but you can't cut in on him. Let him finish now. I will address all of that. I am not a sir.
Not you, Dr. John Doe. John Doe, let me ask my question. You go ask yours after. Calm down. Thank you very much. Sir. Yeah, Chief. So these men, they had the Mannings and the Rowleys and the Pandys and these Eric Williams, all these men, selfish gains and ambition, trying to get away from, the dependency and still dependent. So I don't know how old are you. It take them 68 years and I can't get it right. So I don't know how old are you? And how long you intend to take to get away from everything and be this island of chief you're talking about, and not a republic called Trinidad and Tobago? How long do you think that will take you?
All right. So when I started this off, I was pushing for it to be the fourth autonomous island in the world. There are other indigenous islands like the Solomon Island and thing off of New Zealand that tribes run their islands. That was when I now start off, and I was very happy and charged up, and I thought everybody would digest it like cooked food. However, our aim now is just to get the information out there so people could make the move. I can't force people to do anything outside of what they want to do. And for the corporation to truly be dead, people have to stop contracting with it. Eventually, what is going to happen is the one world government already in place is going to take full operation, and then you would see exactly what I'm speaking about in terms of who is actually running, quote unquote, your island or your corporation. Sorry, right? So we not hoping to do that kind of wishful thinking in no amount of years. We not hoping for anything. We already separate ourselves from the pedophile cult, blood drinking cult, which is your citizenry and all the likes. We already separate ourselves from that. And according to our teachings, that's what we have to do. Right? The rest of the masses, according to our teachings as well, they will perish with the corporation. And things will start. I was telling the sister that earlier on. Things will already in the start over. So I am not hoping to grab nothing and save it in that term of explanation that you're bringing. It is already done. We overstand it to be finished. And we are living our lives like it's starting afresh. Obviously, we existing in the now. And this is what happening now. But we also know more information that you describe in there. And we know that it is finished. Right? It's not a matter of expecting the masses to die. Hold on. Wait now. Just now, Hakuf, hold on. The masses already dying out. More than 50% of the world population are vaccinated. So it's not that I waiting on anything. Hold on. It's not that I waiting on anything. It's that the direction that they head in with the current trajectory that they're on is that's where they're going to go. All we're doing is providing the alternative for people, and they have to take the next step. It's as simple as that, right? And I think, all right, because it's other people on the floor. Virgin, all right, if you're asking questions, let me do it correct now. No Trinidad. Allow him talk. Allow him with the last question, Akuf. Allow him with the last question. Allow him with the last one and let him go. Allow him with the last one. I
Anybody who live in here understand what I talk about. I don't know where you live in. So people already had UNC and I had PNM.
All right. I see why he wanted to cut you off. Brethren, I am not catering for what people already dealing with. I am here to provide an alternative to your lockdown. When they say you're locked down, or when they say do this, do that, you have to do that. I am providing you all that. I don't care if people want to be UNC and for the rest of the life, PNM for the rest of the, that's their right. I am not here to do that. So I would not be answering any persuasive call questions like that. Next question.
Your corporation mindset about PNM and UNC, your comments in the chat, if the UNC chief, it is disrespectful. You're talking to a chief and you don't even know yourself. Because if you didn't know yourself, first thing first, to be a chief, the journey you have to go through, first thing you have to respect that. You don't even respect yourself, you don't even respect your ancestors. So your negative questions is not even to educate or nothing like that, bro. You don't even have a leg to stand on. And it's frustrating to listen to somebody that kind of negative energy because I ain't come here for that.
I have a really good question. Hold on one second, Carl. I'm gonna forget it, and it's as I said, the longer we go, I keep losing questions. So this one was a really good one. So I want to make sure that the chief gets it.
Go ahead, host.
If you were able, this is from Ari.
All right.
And I'm just gonna tack on to it at the end. But Ari's question is, if you were able to ask the government of Trinidad and Tobago for one thing, what would it be? And I will add, and for what? Like, what would be the purpose of it? So if when you answer what you would ask for, how would you implement it? What would be the benefit of it? Thank
you. All right. So the answer to that is one big fat nothing. And I will tell you why. The minute I ask the corporation for anything, it gives them validation. It gives them an extra life. It gives them an extension. So I will not ask the corporation from anything because the corporation owns nothing. All we have is a presentation on the illusion of ownership and authority. Hence the reason why, like I was trying to bring forward just now, when the pandemic bust, don't care what was your thoughts on it, you have to follow the World Health Organization and all these type of things. So I will not ask them for anything. I already asked what I asked, and I asked them to come off our lands. That's the only. If I have to ask anything, that is what I'll be asking. Come off our lands. And why I would ask it is because it's a polite thing to do.
Chief, I can say something to you, Chief.
No problem.
When you're trying to do this, everyone will be in a corner and they will point the hand against you and you'll be in a lot of problem. My advice for you to do, destroy everything you created, clean your clothes within and out, and wait on the Lord.
All right, brethren. All right, brethren. I could give you a hearty. Hold on. I like to deal with religious people like that. Have a good night.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
And this is not the platform for that.
I'm sorry, Chief.
Yeah.
He was very muffled, so I couldn't hear him. Many people couldn't hear his question. Could anybody inform the live what was his question?
Nobody can repeat himself.
Forget everything, take off your clothes, dust up your clothes, and
Sir, could you, in a clear manner, repeat yourself?
was no answer. What he tell him to do is to take off his clothes, dust off himself, and wait until he come. God, wait until God come. That's what he just said. That mess up.
Oh, that was the question.
Colonized. A mindset of a very colonized person.
Uncle John, I'm trying to identify.
That fella schizophrenic.
Gentlemen, please. Uncle John, excuse me. Sapora, excuse me 1 second. Can we have some decorum? Sir, can you please, in a clear voice and clear manner, repeat your question, please? If it was respectful, if it was disrespectful, please don't. But if it was a respectful question, can you repeat it in a clear voice? God.
Everyone can hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I was trying to tell him, what he trying to do, a lot of people will stand and point fingers at him. Everything he created, destroy, clean your clothes within and out, and wait on the Lord. All the answer, he will give it to you.
I take you on advice. Yes, so everything you created, and when people start to point fingers at you because of Jesus, you just wait on the Lord. They take you on advice. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, and then finish back to my question. I was John. Thank you. So, this island, wherever I call it, is tribal. And I know you already care about that, sir. But unless you decide to literally drop a nuclear on Trinidad and Tobago, 3/4, if not 95% of the people will say what you're talking is pure madness. So how do you plan to...
Sorry, say Nick. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, Nick. Hold on, Uncle John. Saint Nick, can we just stick to facts and information without personal attacks, please? Like words like stupid, dumb. We don't want it.
John, all I'm saying is this. Trinidad and Tobago is a Kalaloa people, and the majority of people tribal to a certain party. So how does you, Chief, John Doe, calm yourself now, boy? How do you, as a chief, what the jailers is, boy? So yeah, Chief, because John don't want to be a chief too. So how do you and your people decide to make people not just aware, but accept whatever you say, because the average person won't.
All right. Again, I would repeat myself to you again, and I'm not doing it a third time. I am not here to make anyone accept nothing. I am not here to take over from the corporation or anything like that. I am here to set the record straight. Every being has their will and could use the knowledge and do what they're supposed to do for themselves. They choose not to, it's quite fine. Right? So my mission is not to make everyone accept this. That is not my mission. My mission is for the ones who are aware of what's going on, aware what they have to do to separate themselves from the beast and its ways, and live what we would call a pure, clean life, or a pure righteous life, whatever terminology people like to call rightness. Right? That is what my job is as the chief. All that he described in Saint Nick, and it changed from Mr. Mention. All I'm saying to you or to everybody on it. Sorry. I apologize sincerely. I thought the voice kind of similar. All right. But what I'm saying is that is not the job of the chief. The job of the chief is not to come and convince everybody, as was. It's not a matter of coexisting. It's a matter of what I was saying to you before. So hear this, right? How your thought pattern is, it's not really matching what we're talking about. And I get that, and I'm not against it. All I'm saying to you is, your thought pattern is quite different from what we doing and what we achieving, right? So we're not into coexisting or nothing like that, because we have information, some information, that all this is dead. And I brought up COVID to you to show you that when you think that some things are running one way, there is one control that could be pressed that could stop all these people from going out to somewhere because of some virus or wherever they cook up, whenever they cook it up. So I am saying our mission is to set the record straight and provide the avenue or the road that people could drive down. But nobody do how to drive down it, or not everybody have to drive down it. And that's quite fine with us and our ancestors. Next question. Nobody can stop that. A chief title and position is still he's moved from the realm. Right? You allow somebody else to question now? I was wait now, I would tell him. No. Right. I know I'm not entitled to tell him. Hold on. Let me keep a decorum. I will answer him because where I am from, they have a lot of youths there that we always converse, we always like to reach to, and I will mention that in order to give them the recognition. I am from Bagaloo Street Enterprise. Right? My mother was taking care of the biggest crime boss when he was a youth man inside there. We don't have to call no names, but that is my background. Right? Right. No more questions from you, Saint Nick. And Saint Nick is actually a demon, Crispus Krampus, or whatever his name is. Alright. I don't know why you would represent yourself like that. But anyhow, next question.
Alright, I have another good question from Aria.
Waste time, boy. Waste time.
One sleep there too old to be up this hour.
John Doe, how are you, my beautiful brother? How are you? Greeting to you.
I'm okay. See if I can say a prayer for that fella down there. God, see if I can help that fella. He need help from God.
John Doe, pass it bedtime. Tablets, go and sleep.
I don't know bedtime. I don't take a quarantine here that you can run 26 miles. I put my life saving on that. I put my life saving on that. You can run 26 miles.
About $26. Go and keep that now.
Post take over.
Gentlemen, could we return please to the topic? Let's show some self-control.
Yeah, man, I got. Listen.
Chief, another good question.
Bring it.
What would you like, what will be your tribe's policies as it pertains to the WHO? And I would like to add on to it, and the UN.
Say that again.
What would be your tribe's policies as it pertains to the World Health Organization and the United Nations?
Right. That's a really good question. The United Nations are not friends of the indigenous people. I'd like to state that for the record. Our relation to their policies, or we do have, well, we wouldn't call what we have policies, just how our way of life is basically our policy, but how we live is basically what our ancestors been saying for how much hundreds of years since they've been invaded. The United Nations, because there is interest in the Americas now, because they rape all over, and the final place to rape with all the answers to what they want to do is on this side. They now have a plan for this side of the planet. Right? So, our relations to them is just making sure that we don't create any, how to put it, we're not cutting off our nose to fix anybody else's face, but at the same time, we're not creating any upset, untoward upset that could be avoided. So, whatever we do, you could check in the United Nations Declarations of Indigenous People, it's aligned with that. You could check it with the American Declaration, it aligned with that. You could check it with the Magna Carta, the 1315 Magna Carta, it in line with that. The English Bill of Rights, it in line with that. So basically, they can't label us as a terrorist organization. We could literally sue somebody for that. Be it CBS, CNN, any one of them label our tribe as that, it is quite outside of that, and we could take legal action or lawful action, either one. So, how we live and how our lifestyle is, that's basically our policies, and how it aligns with what they put forward, because they are the devil, as well, for lack of a better word. What they put forward, it aligns with theirs also. So it's hard for them to even point a finger at what we're doing. So that's why when we made our declaration, it had to go to them as well as Rowley, because he was in his seat at the time, and as well as the Crown. Right? So that would answer your question, as in terms of our relation to policy of the UNs and that kind of stuff.
She's not on the panel, so I'll have to wait for her response.
All right, no problem.
No, I've been waiting for 2 hours, 2.5 hours to ask my personal question. No, Zafora, please, I've been waiting 2.5 hours to ask. All right, go ahead.
Just remember, we have 25 minutes again.
That is not relevant to the people on them. What you explain is relevant.
Okay, sir. I just wanted to let the chief, to let the Trinidadians know, if there's really a chief audience, yes, there is a chief, because the native people were there, and this is serious stuff, and they took up and had the right to make their claim and get the folks out of there. Everything had a declaration, and it was written there. It was just cover up, and the people was isolated from it, but it is true. And if you follow the Canadian chief here, they have all the rights. Although the government could run how they want to run, the chief and the native have a right to operate in their land.
Zafora, you haven't said anything different to what the guy was explaining, you know.
Which guy?
Only wasting time.
I am wasting time. You still have to.
You're not explaining anything different to what the chief was saying.
Allow her to. All right, contribution accepted, sister. You see, sometimes we have to allow people to express how they understand what we're saying, so we could get that they understand what we're saying, basically. So we could let the moderator kind of moderate that type. Allow them to give their input, especially the feminine. We have a custom, and it's not to attack anybody, but we have a custom. We like to overpower the feminine and keep them in the shadows, really, but really and truly, they're supposed to be at our side. So you know what I mean. So allow the point, and your point is well accepted, sister. Next question.
All I say is that make relevant, and don't repeat what was already said. Make relevant response to the situation, what the chief have been talking about. Anything outside of that, to get clarity, yes, but you cannot come and repeat what he just said. I mean, please.
All right, I seen a question here. If the moderator didn't see it yet. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that, brother.
Okay, so this is my personal question now. The first personal question that I have asked. Is it possible? Please don't laugh at me. I don't know. I'm ignorant, so I need your advice and guidance. Being that I'm from Jamaica and I can claim indigenousy via my Ararak roots, can you help me to establish something like what you're doing, or can you guide me, or this is only for Trinidadians?
Well,
and I ask this also for B, who is in the United States of America.
Well,
do we have the ability to branch out like that?
Well, I must say that is one of the most heartwarming questions I get for the night. And in all reality, we are literally looking for someone in Chimaka, because Chimaka has a lot to do with, because you all have the music control on the airwaves, we just need to change certain lyrics, and we could do a lot of damage to the brainwashing. So I'm very happy to hear that is where you're thinking, and you carry all the information to Chief Akuf. And yes, it is very possible. As a matter of fact, that is what we're looking for.
Thank you, Chief. I'm not you are Chief. Chief, with all due respect, Chief Abu, not Chief that I'm speaking, Omenberg. Do you know me personally? Have I ever offended you prior to this? Hello?
Hakuf.
Yeah, but man, who's that question for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'd come in the chat a couple of times and thing, you know what I mean? And I like some of the things where they say. Remember, I was telling people, I was the one who pointed out that in Genesis in the Bible that they was telling you, even though it's not no Bible man, I already stated, but I was pointing out some information that the colonizer steal our information and put it in this book. So to cut a long story short, in the book in Genesis, it was telling you Noah's last son, 96 years after the flood, who was the father of such and such, which was different from the Negroes. And was pointing out that clearly there was a difference, you know what I mean? And as I say, the Bible is not the be-all and end-all. It's not a book that I really would specifically refer to as any real strong point. But it is a book that if you line it up with other books, you was what I was saying, you will kind of have a clear path. So, and the conversation that we was having was very good, and I never take no offense to nothing you ever said, bro. So, it's a cool scene with me. The only person I wouldn't say take offense, but the only person that really rhyme up is a couple people in the comments, and the Saint is one, and Bal or whoever is one. Now, when you're talking to Honorable Chief, you see the way you address him? That is the way you address the Honorable Chief. They're not no plating. You understand what I'm saying? I may bring the Chief here under no clown thing and no gimmick thing. You hear my name? You see my name on the profile? So as much as a Chief, as a militant side to this. You understand? So me really here for the waste time. And if you want to disprove this, if anybody want to disprove the Chief credentials, I already refer you where to go and look. Go up there, find the information to disprove and come back. Hold on the disrespectful talk. You understand what I'm saying? And the nonsense. A man asks a question about military and the defense. Run up and you will find out. You understand? Anyway, I yield.
So why I asked is because I'm not I wasn't being sarcastic or facetious. I'm really curious. So if this can give me because this was something that I used to look into when I was in the US, but I'm doing some business in Jamaica, so I would be really interested to know if I could start a process similar to your own here.
Chief Min Waab, I think that is for you.
Yes, for sure. That's the answer. Or you,
All right. So here we go again. Honorable Chief, I don't think Sister Aria was satisfied. Not to say satisfied. I don't think she's completely cleared on her question about the UN. So she sent it back to say, what are your plans, or what would you like to see regarding the UN and the World Health Organization here in Trinidad? So, what do you think, what should be their power, what should be the structure, how far should their power reach, that type of an issue? And will they have any interaction with your tribe?
all right. So the World Health Organization is also a defunct a defunct criminal organization. So I would not like to see them implement nothing here. And had it been up to Kyrie and Alubera indigenous people, we would not be under no UN, and we would not be taking any orders from the World Health Organization, right? The World Health Organization is run by someone who is named a doctor, right? So from a medical perspective, I would like to see nothing the World Health Organization has as their agenda or their goals set to achieve. I would like to see nothing of those implemented here, right? And the United Nations, I already engaged the United Nations, and they are very aware of my stance. Hence the reason why there was a project that they were supposed to do with us and an indigenous tribe on Yurume that they call St. Vincent. And because my name came up, they were very reluctant because they know of my... I don't make beans about where I stand with the colonizers and their friends. So because of that, they canceled the endeavor they was embarking on. So that type of thing with the UN, I am known for my stance, from a strong stance. They say authoritative, a radical, and meanwhile I've never ever once promoted any sort of violence or anything like that. So they just the facts that we're bringing forward. First, to begin with, we reading and exposing records that they recorded that they never taught us in schools, right? That alone is upsetting them. On top of that, we make out the UN to be also a criminal organization, and we made that public as well. And well, the World Health Organization falls right smack bam. I have no qualms about Bill Gates and his pedophilic blood drinking lifestyle. So the World Health Organization and all their cronies and other three-letter agencies, quite frankly, should say the fuck off for Kyrie and Alubera. Next question.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a question. You wouldn't appreciate how it was sent. However, I can turn it around diplomatically.
All right.
And make it a question that is good. That is a good question. What besides the barter system?
Mm-hmm.
What systems are in place, or what are future plans as it pertains to economic development for your tribe in the areas of feeding the population, welfare, your seniors, schools, health, all of these type of things that a government will need?
All right. Wonderful question. So, in terms of implementation of commerce and institutionalizing certain aspects of the culture, it has to do with, basically, as I was saying before, a majority overhaul. However, our intentions are quite simple. I'd like to take you back to how we used to be doing it before. What a lot of people don't know is these islands were high in trade between islands from north to south, right? And so what happened is there was a lot of trade in all different type of stuff. Things that fiat currency still to date cannot buy, right? We have those things here still. It's just the knowledge of it has been swept under the rug, and people not interested in it because that's not the mode of operation in everyday lives, as we say currently, right? So basically, our intention, let's say, is a large overhaul, and everybody, like, let me say, by 2 years, they wake up to realize what's happening and they decide, hey, you know what, we're going to identify as indigenous and claim. Well, then that will even make it easier, because guess what? Our resources is ours. If I say we're going to sell, if the majority of indigenous people on the island say, here, what's going on? We want gold for oil. Guess what? Gold for oil. It's the same thing Russia and all these guys and them doing with the bricks, right? Who have the resources could make the money. Basically, the fiat currency would nothing. Wealth is everything. Because fiat currency has to be backed by things that are material. What causing the current system to crash is that fiat currency is backed by thin air under the United States corporation auspice. So from the time that, let's say, we as a major overhaul, this the easiest thing to do when we have the numbers is change the currency, because now we're not accepting any US because it's a dead currency, and we want currency that worth its weight in gold or gold, right? But remember, you dictating how the resources is used on your island. Well, right. So we have a major overhaul and everybody decide to operate as indigenous. Then we just switch. All we have to say is we're not accepting fiat currency again for oil. Just like these countries. The minute Kuwait stop using the US currency as the petrodollar, that was it for the US. They died a couple years ago. They died. We are now experiencing the rotting of the carcass. And that is why Saint Nick could have say all what he's saying, because they think it's a hope. Just like how everybody was walking around and think they could have go anywhere they want, and then COVID-19 park them up in the kennel. Right? It's the same concept of fiat and governing in terms of economics. Economics is material wealth of a land. And when you own the land, you own everything. And what's the indigenous people identity? The land. Answer your question? Next question.
Brother Lion of Judah. Brother Lion of Judah. You're free to interact. However, there's just a little bit of a change, because this is not a regular man. This is what they call in Africa a titled man. So we have to, we can't interrupt him when he's finished. Then when he's finished talking, then we approach him. With me or anybody else on the live, you're free to interrupt. But the chief, we have to have a level of he's a title man, and so we have to show respect for that title. So Lion of Judah, with that said, go ahead, your floor.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I respect, I apologize. Just how you speak, it's like, it's when it comes into your mind, just to express it one time. And I understand what you're saying, yeah, man. I love the fact that I have indigenous chief representing Trinidad and Tobago, but with my little experience encounter with some of the other chiefs, they afraid to attack the government directly, and in order for us to get back the resources, we have to deal with the government, because the government controls resources. So cultural concepts and belief cannot really deal with the main problem, which is the resources of the country. One of the resources is the land, but it is not the main resource. The main resource is the oil, the gas, tourism.
So, okay. All these things you call are connected to the land. That is one, right? So it's still land. And two, repeat what you're saying before you add a question on top of the question you was asking earlier on.
The resources, in order for us to get back the resources, I have...
All right. That is what I want. I wanted to make sure you say it again. So I could answer you properly now. You see the terminology you're using? Get back. The only reason you don't have your resources is because you were sold. That's the only reason. Once that is changed, you are... Say that again?
The order for us to get back the resources, we have
I'm sorry, Brother Lion. Please don't beat me up. Don't be angry with me, please. But as I said to you, the culture is different, bro. So like how we usually interact. If you notice, I not even me. I interrupt the chief. If you notice, and you know me interrupt everybody. So
I'm a chief and a king as well, and you interrupt me. I feel disrespected. Have I told you anything, brother?
Brother Love in the house, you want to explain because I'm being personal.
What is the
No, brother, call, hold on.
and a man?
Call, hold on. Crime boss, can you please explain what I'm trying to explain to the brother?
Well, to be honest, it's the same thing I kind of get a bit rotted just now for the disrespect from some of the people in the comments. They don't understand what it is to be a chief, how you approach a chief. Some of the people in the comments, basically, if all they were standing in front of me on tribal ground, I'd apprehend all you and behead all you. You understand? Because the tribal order is an order we're dealing with, is a chief. When you understand, look at the information. You ever hear this information coming out? You think you could just go on the internet and pull up this? You think it's just so the chief could come and waste his time and talk to peasants? No disrespect. But that's when all the people, when all the them kind of comments. Like peasants. Right? We don't stand for them kind of thing. Them kind of comments.
Peasant. No, brother.
Bro, them kind of comments, bro, I appreciate it. And as I say, if it was tribal grounds, prevent certain man with them kind of comments and behead them. Right? What your man is trying to say, is an order, Jed. Right? Now, me Lion of Judah, I ain't see Lion of Judah come across as disrespectful. I ain't agree with terminology when he says a chief and thing. You gotta show me your credentials. That's a big claim. And I will show me your credentials. If you can't show me your credentials, he's not a chief. I will not accept that. Right? You can't just give me that by word of mouth. The president can't tell me he's the president without showing me.
That is accepted by acceptance of the people. That chief is not accepted by pen and paper. It's by how much people just command, brother.
Alright, well, let me show you something. It's pen and paper they're using to hold you. So when they ask you if you're a chief, how you going to identify? When they ask you, my brother, when they ask you if you're a chief, how you going to identify yourself as a chief? You're just going to tell them?
As a king, I represent kingship. I don't represent chief. The problem I'm having is not about, I respect everybody as kings and queens and brothers. The problem I'm having is that
Kings and Normans, bro. Kings and Normans. So we don't want kings here. We want chief and priesthood. So if there's a king, go away.
Because every company that you probably respect, every company that
for king, bro.
all them corporations, the companies,
Hakuf,
even the company that you work for,
we have 4 minutes again, Hakuf?
probably have a chief that's running it, and the chief already say you have 4 minutes, so it is what it is. The floor is to him.
All right, so just to address the brother, although he do overstand, I get that he now come in, but it's not a problem anyway. But basically, your concept of what happening now is what you're accustomed to. What we talking about here for the past 4 hours. All right, well, he want to come in on the next part, right? So everybody, it was wonderful. It was very nice to, I don't want to say nice, but it was very sweet to hear that the people really willing to open their minds and accept information in order for them to analyze it, to act on it, and use it as knowledge. So this is very heartwarming. This is a real good direction that the island heading into. And our ancestors were people of high intelligence. All we had to do is do research, confirm with ourselves, and move forward. So with that said, I will remove myself. It was great. I once again give thanks to Love in the House for hosting such a auspicious event, for Yamana seen here as the host. All the proper and thoughtful questions coming in from people like Ari, Ram Kisoon and the others. we could do this again with a proper schedule, and we could probably like pick topics, something, and probably keep it tailored so we could move from topic to topic and increase incrementally. So I give thanks. All is with the ancestors. Wadu. Oh, and you could.
Thanks for coming in and clearing up a lot of things. You know, I get time I don't say much, so
All right.
I try and think. But
Chief, I have one question.
All right.
And it's a good question. And you touched on much of this, but we just want to hear it concise from your mouth. What is your vision for the tribe for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I could only give you a piece of the vision because our vision is basically our mission, and it's more or less, we don't want to broadcast it because, again, it's a lot of things that they would want to work against the indigenous people because they want what is ours, right? But basically, what I would like to see or would like to achieve is basically what's starting here already. I would like to see a lot more people pay attention to the roots, the heritage. I would like a lot more people to get involved, go do your research, come up with things that you do. A matter of fact, I had one person who become a good friend who everything I do, he tried to debunk it and become good friends now because as he realized all the things we put in forward, it can't really be debunked. We are good friends now. So we encourage people to do that type of stuff, and where we see this going from here in about 5 years, a lot more people will be informed, and we could probably avert the incoming crisis of the one world government and the deep state. I yield.
Sapora.
Oh, you could follow me on YouTube and TikTok. Currently on those two platforms. So you could just type in the handle on YouTube, type it in on TikTok, and you'd find me.
Yes, Papa John.
Mansa Musa was a king. Was he a European?
Mansa Musa?
Yeah.
He was a damn thinker.
Was he a European? Was he a European?
Yes.
He
Thinker.
was a European.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I asked you.
most of those people were melanated people. They just were some of them with dirty mouths, you know. Some of them didn't have good intentions for us.
Oh wait, just now, 1 second, Maluk. Anybody have any more questions? Because I'm about to leave the platform. So I just wanna make sure I acknowledge everybody before I leave.
I guess they would have access already.
Alright, and well, we could do a part 2. I'm open for a part 2. Alright?
Honorable Chief,
Uh-huh.
on behalf, you said that I'm the host. No, I'm not the host. I'm a moderator here.
Oh, sorry,
The
moderator.
gentleman next to me that you see at the top.
Loving the house is the
Name
host,
Love on the
correct.
Host.
Yeah.
Right. So on behalf of Love on the Host, on behalf of Love in the House and Ari and John Doe, we thank you for coming. You're always welcome. We thank you for the wealth of information that you shared with us. And we thank you for your fight for the Trinidadian people, or the Trinidadian and Tobagan, which I know I'm using the wrong terminology. You know the correct word that I'm trying to say.
Just say indigenous people now. Just say indigenous people. Don't say, you know, it kind of ties us back into craziness.
But then the indigenous people of who? So maybe you can say the names for me.
Kairi.
I'll call it.
Kairi and Aloera. And we have all our cousins between here and Chimaka.
Okay, so we appreciate you and we thank you, and you're always welcome here, sir. Same for the other humble chief, because I thought he was a chief and he humbled himself. The other crime boss, we thank you for coming. and your participation. Thank you.
And Chief,
No problem and respect.
All right, my
yeah,
brothers,
Chief, we
respect.
must say thank you also.
Respect,
And
sister.
yeah,
You're welcome.
the 600 Americans are gonna be talking to you, Chief.
I do
I
have
have got
them.
all of those match.
I'll leave all with this. The Americans is who Bob Marley was singing about, the Buffalo Soldiers. They sold out and went and fight against the other indigenous family in the north. All right.
Yeah.
Later, people. Wado.
We want to remind you.
You have nothing to get. I tell you that already. Ready?
Boy, I see whatever hear about a smoker in Pillar, I know a bubble in that.
Get nothing.
My mother's
Nothing
still
to get.
alive. We listen. We sitting on some property there.
Yes.
And some was
All right. I'm going to stop recording.